TOS did really well, yeah. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? There
Hey!
we go. We are in it to win it. Welcome to week two, split two of the Celestial Cup. Zephyr, welcome. I should say, well, you should be welcoming me. You should be the one doing the intro because you were here last week and I wasn't. So this is your home temporarily. Give
Okay.
me a welcome.
Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to the Celestial Cup. My name is Zephyr, and I'm here with this beautiful man muffin, Dia. And we're going to be covering, of course, the action here. Split 2, week 2. And obviously, I'm so excited to have my man meet on broadcast.
I mean, this is really the best that it can get. We have amazing Apex Legends. We've got great talent, and if I look the right direction, we have a love connection being made live. I for one have not gotten nearly enough Apex even since ALGS Year 3 qualifiers started, which we have both been watching with a fervor. So let's keep it going, Zephyr. Let's keep going.
I'll be honest. I've had maybe my fill of Apex, but I'm more than happy to be here.
He's
This is
still
like
here.
my. This is true. This is true. That's probably more. That's more impressive. The fact that I'm still here, even though this is like my 21st or 22nd hour of Apex this week. That's
Yeah.
how much. That's how much I love the Celestial Cup. And
You're gonna
don't
have
you
to give
dare,
me
don't you dare question it.
You're gonna have to give me your makeup routine because even I got like the little dark circles under my eyes, and I haven't been putting on nearly as much. Oh, you can kind of see them. There we go. Thank you for the glasses, Rays. However, I know that we're having a lot of laughs. It is important that we get down to business in a way. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on today. We do have 6 games of Apex Legends. And we apparently have a birthday, so I'm going to wait for you to actually have heard that correctly, Zephyr. Well, I'm going to keep talking about the point system. We're going to have 6 games of Apex Legends happening today. um, the first 3 are going to be in World's Edge, the second 3 on Stormpoint, and the scoring will be ALGS standard. You are competing, of course, to be at or near the top of the leaderboard, not just today, but over the course of the season. Zephyr, whose birthday is it?
I don't know. I don't know whose birthday it is. You saw Insay. Okay. Apparently it's Insay's birthday. Happy birthday! How
Okay.
old are you? I don't know.
Uh,
Happy birthday
birthday to
to you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday to
birthday to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday
dear Insay.
to
Happy birthday to
you.
you.
Woo! Happy birthday. I
Woo!
really hope we were in sync because sometimes the audio going through Discord does lag out a
She's
little bit. And
she's
if we were out of
80.
sync, that's going to be painful. She's not 80. There's no way she's 80.
Yusaki said she's 80, therefore she's 80.
No
Oh
way
my
she's 80.
gosh.
That's not possible. I
And she plays Apex?
I can barely play Apex.
No,
Uh,
no, she was born in 1980.
okay.
Oh my god, she's 24. It's crazy. Okay, cool. Welcome to the Celestial Cup.
Yeah. Welcome. Can we get the graphics for the point system up? I know we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but it would be cool because we've made all of them, so why not use them? Zephyr's like trying to turn the lights on in his house. just just going for it. I don't know, Zephyr. We're gonna work on it. I assume we can assume that the lobby is being set up in the meantime. Um, and there has been, I will say, before we get into the game, Zephyr, quite a bit of discussion over even just the past 24 hours about how the meta is changing in this
Uh-huh.
year. I know you're probably tired of talking about it because you've been, what was it? You said 20, 24, 22 hours of Apex this week. But talk to me a little bit about how you feel the reintegration of Gibraltar is going and how we might see it play out specifically today.
Gibraltar's good. Any team that says Gibraltar's not good is riding that Furia dick a little too hard. Anyways, I have to say he'll find his strength, especially in lobbies without them. Okay, Gibraltar's on a lesser scale, obviously, impose greater control over having one on your roster when you utilize it. But I'll be honest, that's old news. We've been talking about the fact that I think teams walked away from Gibraltar a little too quickly. And granted, I know your roster, Gibby, good strength. Thank you.
Those are the notes.
Okay. Um,
We're fine, folks. We've made it to game 1. Let's do this thing, Zephyr. World's Edge is where we're going to be starting things off. We all know how it goes. Let's see who kicks serious butt out here. I was talking about it a little bit before the broadcast. It might actually not have been a little before the broadcast. It might have literally been on stream. But EOS coming off a high from last week.
All right. I have to say, as giggly as we are, because me and Dia are just absolute lovers, EOS surprisingly coming out on top after weeks of JSA success. And that is the storyline we're running with here tonight. Another storyline that I do want to point out is something that Light Years told me while I was in your Twitch chat earlier today. Apparently, Team Nothing is going to be taking contests all day long today. We tune in with 40-year-old Insepultus. Happy birthday. Oh, finally moving. Good. That's a start.
You gotta warm up your arthritic fingers.
Yes. They are the one to be potentially contesting over by Team Nothing here in Countdown. Or no. My apologies. This is launch site.
The other
This
one
is the
with
other one.
same geography.
The other one with the exact same assets you list.
Yeah.
Insepultus
Make
This.
more triangles on the map.
Might I tell you that the stream is not frozen?
Yeah.
It's just taking their time.
I mean, if you're gonna have to do it at some point during the game, near the start's probably better. You did speak a little bit about JSA earlier. We get a taste of what their team comp and what their style is going to be. Starting off in Skyhook, they will have the opportunity to play Edge, although this first ring does pull a little bit further to the north than most of the things you're used to on World's Edge.
Here we go.
Contest early, and we get the chance to see it. Team Nothing really starting things off a little bit chunked out, but with a very nice game.
Easy there from Strawberry to find the start to this one, but Yuli and Lightyear's making twice on the back end. Now down to a 2-1 situation. It's Seer to run forward, and VSK are officially eliminated, but with shots raining through from the other side of Countdown, or right ahead of Strawberry, Team Nothing will share the same fate.
Flower Power with a really nice rotation. I mean, you did that scouting? Had the inkling that they were going to be contesting all day. Flower Power doing exactly the same thing. Now will get themselves to an effective 600 health between them. A nice pickup for Miss Dopey.
Wow, is that like the real math?
Yeah, because you have 100 HP on a purple and a gold.
You are so smart. Anyways, EOS, here they are. They're on their potential way forward to take out this squad. You got Odd, Beats the Hunt, Exodia with the first drop there onto Julie Lax. Is that UTFT squad ahead? You can see Stanner, Shy, and Exodia looking for angles of their own. Exodia to find the next drop down onto Liss. Julie Lax in full thirst. The final member running through the lower end, and UTFT will also face early defeat.
Didn't really even stand a chance in that with the early fry from Odd. Things looked good for EOS, and it's interesting to see them pulling out a composition like this, one without a Seer, something that, while a lot of teams were very quick to give up other legends that were cornerstones of the meta, Seer is one of those things that a lot of teams are hesitant not to use because of its in-fight prowess. Using the Bloodhound instead, you do get a lot more frag out potential, but a lot less consistent information.
I definitely think that's what they're going for. EOS are a team that is confident in their 3v3 capabilities. So obviously utilizing that Bloodhound pushes them to their absolute limit when it comes to searching for those opposing legends. Speaking of opposition ahead here, Lust, another team that was highly successful last week, albeit did not slip away with the first place victory. They've got multiple squads here in Lava Siphon that they could potentially take, but rotations are coming through as we speak. They will run right past just about everyone, splitting the POI in half.
Shout out to our observers for pulling up the map on the top left as well. We got to see that they were heading down south past everyone, which is a interesting choice to make when we consider that the zone's pulling away from them. After having... Okay. I want to see how this plays out, because we've basically just gone the opposite direction from where we're mount building. Why did we...
It's search and destroy. That's the way I look at it, right?
Okay.
I mean, Lust is another team that is capable of potentially combating most squads in this lobby, and albeit it was a choice to kind of maybe waste a little bit of time in the POI, they had seen Legends in the center area, and now even set up here, they still are able to capitalize. They were chasing, they were on the hunt, okay?
Yeah, I can buy that. You know, clearing your back is something that a lot of teams have been working on, and Lust at the very least make sure that theirs is good before rocketing themselves into center zone. A good thing for them is Flower Power take an engagement as well. They're going to be the ones, I suppose, getting cleared on in this specific scenario as rings starting to close in around them, making sure that no one else is rotating in behind them from the very corner of the zone. They were shot out a bit, but now get themselves even further into the ring and have to think about their future as they pull further down towards the south, or at least we would expect.
We'll see in just a moment regarding the ring, but for now, it looks like Lust still contesting the squad that we just saw them running and gunning away from here to start taking position in our no-name. In fairness, it looks like they're going to be comfortably able to probably walk forward towards the bridge, but with an exhibit down, this is showing me that there are more than just them in the area.
An interesting conundrum for Lust. I know they're focused on the fight ahead of them right now, but the fact is that as we approach this next ring, they are going to have to go through one of two, maybe even three choke points if they really want to run far. Focusing on the KP for now will get them assurance points as long as they can finish off this fight. But teams like EOS, who are already in the ring, and can gatekeep teams that want to run down the hill towards the ring, are going to be at a really good spot for late game.
And this is this choke ahead that we discussed here seconds ago. For Exodian Odd, they've already put themselves within the building ahead here and find quick knocks onto a Breeze. Looks like there is one residing member that we may be able to potentially find. You can see the pings coming out, the missile swarm down on this opposite choke here. Starting to already take second floor coverage onto the roof instead.
It's a good spot for them to be able to get LOS. That pun's gonna really not find a whole lot of value here, but trust me, I appreciated it. Since they've got so much loot for the moment to be able to make use of here, they've got time to set up and maybe even find a beacon scan. This would be risky, but I could see him going for it.
I regret to inform you, yeah, Veneer are officially eliminated. It was in a bit of this fight that you see actually currently taking place over here, or at least the resulting end of it. Lust were on their way into potentially third party. That happenstance between the two squads, and now are paying the price. You can see L&W, the team that take advantage of this aggressive movement. Renee, she's on her way out and into the train line with marginal success, but the big question is, can she route right back around, get Scarlet's Emmy or Peef back into the mix?
I like the choice to just turn straight around and say, people probably expect me to go the other way, so I'm going to play this safe. 20 seconds till the ring starts hurting a little bit more, but you've got plenty of healing, and as the Wraith can also avoid a decent amount of damage. Loch Nessies have not been a focus of this game, however, as they've been mostly sat all the way over here in Overlook. Not a whole lot of damage they've done so far, just got themselves a building and really chilled. Interestingly enough, are one of the teams, or weird thing to say when we're in a tournament that isn't EMEA quals, but they're not running Caustic, which is interesting considering that they're trying to hold a building, especially because some teams think it more viable than others. For Loch Nessies, it will be a war of information with the Seer, which they should be able to get if a team starts to run up on them, but this is a really difficult building to hold as there isn't a whole lot of open ground between you and everyone else.
I'll be honest, I actually haven't seen much of a setup regarding propositions that are built around zone play here as we make our way back towards the other side of it. JSA look to take this building. It's Piku's already down. A quick peek from Sabs, and she makes short work of another here. More damage from the interior with shots from the tower as well. Another full wipe there onto Sammy. One last standing member might have made their escape, but they have given up such a prime position, and oh, it looks like Ava, she's looking for the last.
That's going to be my Peacekeeper pump of the game right there from Sabs. That was really delicious. And a nice swing with great reaction time. Arc are gone, though, and we're down to 11 squads already. That's before round 2 is even done closing. As it finishes now, we're almost down to half the lobby. And
Whoa!
We're talking about not having zone team. We've got the opposite here.
Well, it looks like they are successful with their first full wipe there onto Woomy. Obviously, that was something we missed out on seeing. For Team Yor, they are no longer able to utilize at least the Death Totem for now, but it was something that did enable them in getting at least one KP, albeit not the entire squad.
And if you are going to be sat all the way over here in zone, what better comp than Rev Octane to just be able to say, you know what, I see some people are fighting, let's ape this without actually giving up our position. It ends up working for them, and while they don't get the kills, I like the fact that they're still—
They got one kill.
One kill. Yeah. That's
kill.
worth. That's worth.
That's
LNW are making their way up the hill towards Overlook, that, as we know, is already pretty darn crowded. They should be able to find some space in the back corners, but they're also split up pretty heavily, with the Vendetta moving up out their front.
It looks like she'll take some damage. Gonna have to pull back for a bat. Nastia and Yo step up to lay their own damage down, but will quickly find return almost immediately. Obviously, some calls being made to just kind of post themselves down the hillside. Mind you, there are two squads that are paying attention to this angle. You have Nice Girls here on the exit of Geyser, and another back behind over by the pillboxes. Or no, my apologies. That looks to be just Crest. It looks like they themselves are like just holding that off angle from that direction. Yeah, it's just one squad.
I was wondering who was laying down the charge rifle shots from afar, and now I'm starting to wonder who on earth was confident enough to whip out Caustic. The answer: Control Freaks, who have rolled up to this fight. Winks going low to another shot from PBG on the height. As they get into the building, should be all right to be able to pop a quick Phoenix, get back into the game as this round starts closing just before it's most important that you be on the move. Already though, Jasmine quite low, is gonna have to heal up as well. There's Falco going off out here that I don't think you can capitalize on. The shots whip in the air as nothing but iron sights are on this flat line, and Control Freaks have got to start moving in.
Oh, I don't know. Moving in for sure. The zone is forcing this one, but they do have a lot of realm to play. I remind you that there are only 10 squads left standing already in round 3 alone. A lot of the space that we talk about that's contested might be more available than we think. So for LNW, who find landing directly towards our zone ahead, they quickly face defeat at the hands here of a mixed plethora of squads, JSA being one of them.
Nice shots from Ava. And in that deep. Notice that JSA playing this a little bit less aggressive than I would have thought they would based on their first few weeks of Season 1. Instead, taking a more relaxed approach, I think likely based on how last week went for them. And I'm going to get to wrap around the backside of this rock that evidently, definitely, is Godspot.
Yeah, pulling back towards the exposures here, we did get a little bit of the read of that zone earlier in the game that showed us that it was going to be kind of cutting towards the northern side out of Overlook here. For teams like Control Freaks, that's the distance coverage that they'll have to make some choices ahead, especially as a more zone-bearing team. For Nice Girls, they were able to slink their way up the hill after what was some very successful damage up against L and W. Still, though, fighting for some space.
Loch Nessies are down. We know they were sitting center of Overlook the last we saw them, so I'm really curious as to how that happened and how Chaos isn't breaking out right now because multiple squads should be involved in the cleanup of that. As the Nice Girls try and retreat down through the lower end of this rock, though Flower Power, one of our other caustic teams, are cutting them off. Sure, difficult as possible of an uphill journey for the squad before them. Princess is going to be able to pop a quick sell, but they're losing ground quickly despite all the gas ahead. And Flower Power have to be careful not to lose control of everything, as they do not have a Valkyrie to be able to rotate in. Instead, relying on being able to make that first move. I like this jump up to the high ground, gets them a little bit more of an advantage, but
Oh my
likewise
gosh.
leaves this team open to be able to pull off a safe Valk.
This is a very, very aggressive move, just straight out into the open here for Flower Power with really no defense to garner, trying to kind of put themselves in a spot that will last, especially with this ring closing in. The spot, thankfully, underneath major buildings, south side overlook, is available here for Flower Power. You can see the traps already coming out. You got to question all these slower rotating teams. What does their fate share? Pretty Bond Girl with the drop onto Beef, the charge rifle. Just nasty.
PVG is a charge rifle legend. Has been all game. Mommies end up dropping. We're gonna be down to the top 7 squads. Big thanks to them. Up on height. Nice Girls do have good angles. They're running a little bit low on sniper ammo, but with plenty of time in this next ring, should be able to set themselves up to at least make top 5 if they can continue laying in damage from PVG.
I mind you, or at least I'll let you know that we're down to our final 6 squads here left standing. For JSA, they're the team that's looking to wrap back around and play the northern high ground. That's going to be so effective in a zone like this. Immediately, you can see their kill feed Sam with the drop there onto the wings, and with many other rotations coming through, the rest of JSA take advantage.
Sams is really going off in this game. I don't know what she ate before it, but the 301 and the PK have both been on fleek, and now a little bit of confidence has been instilled. She runs forward once again, takes someone out, and ends up putting us into the top 5, and Nitro also fall. Control freaks are out. Top 4. Things are getting spicy, Zephyr, and I don't know if anyone can contest JSA or even Sabs. Is a one-woman army right now.
I have to say, EOS and Flower Power would be the 2 squads to do it, but they're sadly contesting each other. You can see Giggle Autumn face difficulties here, and one other drop on the side of EOS seconds go. Both looking for potential revives, but Princess and Miss Dopey facing the brunt of damage ahead. Renee with the flatline to find Nox here. It's up to Princess to survive as Lust is eliminated at the hands of JSA. We're down to our final 3. Flower Power and their revive sticking. EOS look to capitalize on this kind of movement.
This is so good for Flower Power, being almost able to secure that last kill, but still denying a member. Not going to be able to get that Valkyrie back in. EOS are fighting in a disadvantage up against JSA on the height. The team that dominated last week is going to fall to the reigning champions in the 2v3. Never did anyone any favors. JSA take game 1.
And they are back, and they're with it in style here. JSA look to prove themselves after last week's results.
Impressive. Impressive not only in the way that they found kills, shout out Sabs for being an absolute menace that game, but with their zone predict as well. A 25-point game will not leave them lacking.
Oh my
EOS
gosh.
still putting up an impressive amount of kills as well, with a 12 kill game, 21 points.
I was about to say, this is a fairly top-heavy lobby, as we're currently seeing here, for a double 20-point finish to take place. You need some very good gameplay between EOS and JSA. They make up 25 of the available 57 potential kills. You can pick up nearly half.
An unfortunate game for Nice Girls as well. I was really singing their praises, especially with the charge rifle, to have only found 1 kill despite what I think is over 1,000 damage with the charge rifle alone. isn't what they were looking for, but also sort of a consequence of the zone. Overlook not nearly as favorable
No.
for holding ultimate height and just being able to lay down damage with snipers. So they made it look relatively good given their position, as I think a lot of these teams did. Overlook's just a very tough zone to play in, especially with the chaos that erupted in the buildings during that mid to late game. Things were, difficult.
As we make our way down the list there, Flower Power, Lust, Yor, all sharing similar fates regarding how they ended up, but managing to last into the zone. We saw a majority of these squads continue to fall towards the very, very end here. Let's take a look at the other half of the leaderboard and see 11th through 20th.
The
Oh,
Nere, one of the teams that surprised us, fallen a little bit early. The rest of this happened either very quickly or very quietly throughout the game. I think UTFT really standing out to me as the first rampage or the beginning of the rampage for EOS that took them all the way over to Overlook.
oh. I gotta say, it's a shame we see Veneer fall so early in
Mhm.
Sepultus. It must hurt her old heart.
Please don't hate us. Please, please, please don't hate us.
I
It's
come to
all in good fun.
Celestial Cup to be
Yeah.
able to bully you.
Zephyr chose violence this morning, but happy birthday. And honestly, I hope that you get a win for your birthday. As to whether that win happens today or not, I suppose we'll find out. We've got 5 more games left. So, Zephyr, what do you say we take a quick break, get that out of your mouth, and we'll see you for game 2. Welcome back for game 2, week 2, split 2 of Celestial Cup continues right here, right now, or at least in the general sense. We will be getting into games soon. This isn't actually the split 2. This is just the sort of intra-game entertainment. Zephyr Zybra is the other part of that. How you doing, Zephyr? You ready for game 2?
Let's take a look at the leaderboard before we jump back into it here, just
Let's do it.
to freshen up on some of those numbers. Obviously, we just come off of a fantastic start for the JSA squad with 25 points to at least give them their what will be maybe a potential gap. It's been a hot minute. We saw a little bit more dicey competition last time around, especially with teams like EOS and Lust so close behind. We'll see if they can replicate it this time around. Noticeably, EOS, a strong start, albeit not 13 kills. 12 is still a massive number there to assume, at least in your initial game.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that having gotten second with a whole lot of kills. They're making JSA pry today out of their cold, dead hands. EOS
Yes.
really
Yes.
want to take not just the games individually, but the day as a whole, make themselves that top contender as we get later on into the season, since they've started it off so well. In Split 2, I mean, it's only been EOS victories because we're still so early on. If they can continue that trend and cement themselves as the favorites
Ah.
historically, be looking good
Ah.
for them as we approach finals.
I like this. I like this. We're starting to form new narrative here in the Celestial Cup. This is what I like. This is what I like about you, Deal.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't really know what to say back. I like your beard when it's sometimes there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That was shade. That was shade. Much like
But
what
you
my beard
you haven't
does.
had a beard the whole time I've known you, right? That was like a last year thing, right?
Oh my gosh. No, I started growing this back in when we covered that one place to excellency.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It's been a while.
Yeah.
For me, it's been like a past 3 month thing. So I suppose congratulations. Really. It's been really good.
Just talk.
I'm so sorry, Zephyr.
Just
I shouldn't
talk
have done
about
this to you on
Apex.
stream. This should
Just-
have been in the DMs.
Just talk about Apex. Keeping off my ass.
Com's landing a Brian Big Mod is going to be our first real look at them since we didn't see too much last game. Having, I think, alongside a lot of other teams, a difficult time moving up through areas like Geyser and into Overlook, are really punishing rotation, as you yourself pointed out earlier this weekend, Zephyr.
Mm-hmm.
Coms do still have the circle, this time pulling a little closer to home, perhaps even further towards them, but they won't actually know that for a little while, as they don't have a beacon anywhere nearby and haven't been able to split between Big Mod and Lava City for that extra data. Instead, looking to take a fight right in front of them as, a little cheeky little caustic barrel gonna get taken out.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right. Catch that out of the corner of your eye there. More awareness than I'd ever try to take credit to for comms here. Obviously, though, the rotation head is still the very much major question, but they still look to loot and get themselves set up, especially with all those big mod weaponry looking so nice and juicy. Granted, we take a look at that zone there. It does look to be that we have some slight precedent towards this area. I don't know exactly if we will be making our way down here directly towards this POI, but there's definitely some space.
I feel like this should pull us a little further towards the Lava Siphon. That's going to be my guess.
Huh.
Unfortunately, VSK won't be alive to see it, as they are
Again.
our first team eliminated. Yeah, unlucky for them. Arc, I mean, not much to say, did end up picking up the kills pretty clean and close together as well. They had height advantage, then pushed that to a health advantage.
All right.
Arc doing really well.
Where's Team Nothing? That's my
probably
question.
left.
Yeah, they might be in the area though. They land south side of Countdown here, and Arc was not in the area last time we saw the fight begin against VSK. So well, maybe tune in with them in just a second. For now, we check with EOS once again, just on the outskirts of Fragment, getting started off. We catch the back end of the zone. Obviously, a few pings going out, but for this squad, just crafting, getting themselves at least in a more secure state before they start aggressing behind on any of these other teams. WKL, though, eliminated in 19.
Unfortunate for them, and we'll see them next game. I can only assume something that's catching my eye is the nice rotation from EOS, actually more or less the same in terms of timing as it was last game, and UTFT adapting to that as they had moved out of Fragments before a fight could start off. Got a lot of fights breaking out though. Valkyrie ults will try and get in the zone. The Near are the ones who unfortunately are caught in the doorway. Nice gravity lift, really stuffing that rotation, leaving just Inceptulus alive on this low ground. TLM go down in the meantime. The Near still in this. Moving around the south side of the map, you do have just the Seer left alive, and there's not a whole lot that a Seer can do on their own.
For instance, we'll have to see how she fares. Granted, that Seer will provide enough information that will allow her to potentially wrap, but we know for a fact that that is more than meta on so many rosters that don't particularly exist in Apex Legends right now. For Guess Who, they look to clean and gas out those ahead here. Obviously providing angles to work with on this choke from what we saw earlier. It looks like they are able to secure a good majority of LNW.
Surprising too, since Guess Who was the team in retreat when we tuned away from them
Yeah.
just minutes ago, trying to take to the sky with the Valk ult, move themselves away. Supposing that got cancelled, and a nice spot for UTFT go, hey, there's somebody in this building. They're playing this one pretty slow as Julie's already been chunked out, but a nice entrance from Loop and Liss. Get them not too much, no knocks, kills, a little nade in front, and a very nice portal for a flank, allowing UTFT a lot of flexibility when it comes to how they approach this fight. Ava's getting knocked in the zone. Mighty Macaroni has gone down, and UTFT still play the slow game. Great angle from Julie to be able to calm for her teammates where their opponents are. Locked Nexties unfortunately don't get that chance. JSA have just run over them.
We see them and they disappear like a magic trick just before our eyes, and we sadly pull away from Yor on their last moments as well here. Veneer also kicking the bucket in 14th. We dropped 3 spots within the last seconds alone for JSA. There's still some shots to be had from behind. A Singularity thrown out here. Will goes to pull the pole. Got a nice ordnance down, but doesn't find the damage necessary. JSA on the response.
Already missing shields. Nice peek from Ava. Does go down, though, in the front lines after doing a decent amount of damage, but not nearly enough to make me comfortable. It's going to be JSA's turn to be heroes. Snap still running that 301.
Good,
no
good,
PK
good,
this time. It's the hero play. That is the hero fry, but Sabs is low. So desperately to pop a shield back and not going to get the chance to. Princess denies it, and JD picks up the slash, whipping out that PK at close range, down, but ultimately marking the end of JSA.
JSA are leaders of the current standings, no longer available in game 2 here. It's anyone's potential victory. I'll say for Flower Power, they're more than happy with that result. They were choked out of the higher placement last game, stuck underneath the building in Overlook, and now they get to have free reign in this lobby, or as much as maybe EOS will let them.
That was a really solid move, and to see Flower Power take the fight like that, we knew they had good stuff. I mean, if you've been watching this team over the past 3-4 weeks, they have looked good, but the confidence in that fight was the difference. Not nearly so much the mechanics of the players. Those have already been established. JSA, now being knocked out, really opens the door to EOS as well, who, like I said, don't want to let today get away from them. JSA is going to need to pry it from their cold, dead hands, and they're going to have to do that a little bit later on. Lust, for their part, are going to go aggressive right now, having gotten a decent amount of information on the team ahead, actually pushing them out of their own Seer ult, but not going to find any kills just yet.
Lust here, obviously now completely out of the exhibit, gives them at least some control regarding the situation for further there. Feel a little bit bad for Team Nothing. They're really trying to get their footing right now in the Celestial Cup, as they were one of those squads who qualified in Luna earlier this last Saturday, which is hard enough on its own. Meanwhile, for Nice Girls, they are ticking away. The gas is a bit punishing. but not enough to at least force them out of this building for now. They set themselves up and may look to re-engage potentially on the squad ahead. You can see those pings come out, and ooh, a beautiful scan from PBG to give them what might be their next move forward on this assault.
Once again, we got charge riflers for Nice Girls, but unfortunately, no height right now. They're forced to run outside the zone, closing in just a few minutes. Nami's taking a fight on the inside. They do lose one, and we drop it down to 11 squads very shortly. If Mimi ends up going down, Valcolt to the sky. Will it be too late? It will! Nami's are out in the hands of UTFT on the outside.
UTFT slide in, see a free Valkyrie and take advantage. Now the portal to fall, Super Lupelia deep in this one here, and they will make short work of one and potentially the final member on return. Lupelia on the outside, more shots from the other choke as well. And it's actually not picked up by UTFT. PBG from the other side finds it with the charge rifle there onto Little's Bloodwind to eliminate at least that squad. Meanwhile, for Nice Girls, we tune back in with them after what was a rotation out from that building. Didn't look like it was too successful. They've already lost out in PBG even seconds after we saw her pick up a kill.
An overextension, perhaps, for that extra KP,
They're very
and now
split.
it could really push you out of contention for these points in the late game. Prestep going to be grouped up with by Mulvana, but even so, there's a lot of weakness that's already been demonstrated by Nice Girls, and a lot of teams that we know will prey on that. We're going even faster than last game, as we've dropped down to 10 squads as Ring 2 closes, not just the 11 that we had previously. Things are continuing to pick up, and Nice Girls, unfortunately, without that banner, aren't even going to be able to make a recovery.
Most of our squads, if we take a look at the map, there are all completely out of the next pull of this ring. Only UTFT and can barely see who is there in the interior of that zone. But two squads, only two when we talk about zone 5 and ahead, just on the outskirts there of Lava City. For now, though, the attention is still here in No Name. Nice Girls defending for their lives. The Singularity out. Now they get to at least destroy that. Trying to block that doorway off. Lust just hovering.
Got an angle, or rather did, before they had to heal up. Renee doesn't have a whole lot of access to height, mostly just Scarlet and Peef that can do that. So you need to play this slowly, lest there be a 3-man inside, though we know that there isn't. I'm gonna go ahead and maybe even pass this by. I'm wondering what the angle is here. Renee takes height ultimately and ends up peeking with her two teammates, not finding a knock just yet, instead going low, and it's a 2v2 temporarily with Peef going down. Lust could fall entirely. This has become way more scrappy than it needed to be, and the Arc Stars are really starting to hurt. Renee backs off into the zone, leaving, or rather, Scarlet backs off into the zone, leaving just Renee to back away via the portal as well. They've lost one, and any 3v2. Nice Girls are really showing up.
Nice Girls here, taking their time, just surviving on the second floor, but I don't think it'll be for much longer. Fortnite forces the rotation down, and they are quickly eliminated. We know this entire region was as clustered as it got here when we tuned in with the map seconds ago. For Lust, they lost out on Peef in the meanwhile. Now, it's a good banner recovery, but it doesn't change the fact that these squads lay ahead as a difficulty.
What a sick grab there for a Nice Girls. Being able to lay that down, then get the PK pump. I know they didn't win the fight, but I can't deny those were smooth moves. Lust are making some moves of their own, however, moving their way over towards the next zone that we talked about. Doesn't have that many squads in it, which may mean they get themselves a good position inside. Control Freaks do lie between them and that ultimate goal. However, we'll be able to have LOS on this balloon. It is now Nice Girls' only way into the zone. Control Freaks do get scared, however, eating shots in the back. They don't have data on whether it's 2 or 3 members. And turn around, now preparing a defense for the squad behind them. Still, though, the zone's closing. This is going to be potentially only a second bit of respite for the Control Freaks. Granted, they miss out on some shots there as a team rotates just ahead of them. We'll tune back in a little bit later as they will be forced to make a little bit of some moves. As you can already see the kill feed there. Favorite finding knocks on Renee. worrying for the nice growth. There are a few members left. Comms, for their part, do miss out on a care package temporarily, with the squad below them actually being able to pick that up. Lava City becoming that tiered birthday cake that you like so much, although there are only
Yum,
3
yum.
squads split between 2 buildings. The rest of them, like UTFT, existing instead in that train station and below.
Yeah, and EOS here in one of these stacked buildings that we just discussed, and that's the squad that I'm really watching out for. Haven't been as highlighted in the kill feed as they were in game 1, but still a very dangerous entity. And granted, something nice about this building in particular is that when we talk about Zone 5, it is still very much playable. You're not forced to make rotations out. I will say, though, in terms of that final end game pull, it's going to be very difficult with multiple teams assessing the same area.
Certainly Whale Arc are going to be taking a really unique approach to this, which will circumvent a problem for them, at least in the early part of this rotation, if they manage to make it. Sammy's gone relatively low, but is really nailing folks with that G7 Scout. Pika's taken up to the sky, and Armity goes and does the same, ending up finding 2 knocks for their part. A nice wraparound from Sammy will take out the third. Control Freaks are down, and Arc made that look simple.
Very, very interesting too. Arc were set up quite heavily there in towards that bulk area. They hear the sounds, they see that they've got a team that they're likely to have to contest with, and they take it out into the open to finish the job. Meanwhile, for UTFT, it seems like they have continued to find movement. They want to start setting up for this next zone. They know it's not major cover to work with, especially with Big Mod and the train line no longer in play here. Still, though, it does seem like they've got someone right outside here towards the west. They might have to take care of first. Oh, looks like we just spot a very soft redeploy ahead of them just seconds ago.
UTFT.
Up, there it is.
Eyes up, there we go. That's going to be a rough landing, especially for Yoli on this low ground, who has been almost deleted. Their teammates also taken out. It is a knockdown, drag-out brawl, and Team Nothing are on the losing end of it. They're not the only ones. We've got plenty of squads in the area. UTFT may be taking notice of this, but they're facing down another squad. They don't have time to commit over towards this western side of the remaining circle. Instead, covering each other with a nice angle from List behind these boxes that could be open to the west if they don't, if they ignore the block.
For Flower Power, they are the ones to eliminate Arc there in their final moments, now making their way back up from the bridge. Look who is in prime position to potentially take advantage. Big cracks onto the horizon here from Giggle Autumn as UTFT continued their moves forward, but from the same angle, actually, as was punished only seconds ago, they themselves take shots. It looks like EOS making their way in as we see Odd get that charge rifled knock onto Lapelia.
I'm definitely worried about it. Things are looking scary over towards the eastern side of the map with deep commits onto UTFT, who, well, have no health. They're now in the sky and are now, I think, quite understandably gone. EOS has made short work of them, and Flower Power stood by and watched this happen. Haven't been able to get an angle on the entry into the fight, and with Exodia now being able to cover, things don't look really interruptible onto EOS. Exodia have been taking a second inside the ring. That's how confident they are to be able to loot up, get themselves all ready for the end game that we know is coming. 4 teams left. Comms are going to have to move in, likely to Flower Power that should have taken the spot over by Dome while this was happening.
Something I really like here is the fact that EOS were in this building, zone ago, and they made early moves to put themselves in a power position so they wouldn't have to deal with something like this, where you could see teams like Comms now forced to make even more dire movements to put themselves towards this next zone, to expend that bullet, to front a huge chunk of damage. An Exhibit is thrown down, but they will have to land on the squad below first. Roses can't even make her way out of the zone.
There's really nothing to be done there. The race portal was a good idea in theory, but the early rotation from EOS and Flower Power ended up being too much. Now it's an arenas match in Dome. That's a pretty good map to port over, but Odd, unfortunately, might not be feeling exactly the same way, having this done pretty early. Flower Power gonna have a nice angle. They will not take a Horizon ult as there's great focus from EOS, and the Grablet does end up taking down Stan. Exodia goes up to the sky with that grab lift, beams from it, but has lost their 2 teammates. They plummet to the ground, leaving just them take out Giggle on him, and subsequently this 2v3. Exodia's got no movement vertically. Instead, Flower Power will end up taking the second game.
Our number 3 team here from game 1 showing up big to find success in a very standard 3v3 there, and it's honestly even more impressive when you take into account that they had to contest against both what was UTFT ahead of them towards Big Mod and many squads trying to land towards bridge side to find some kind of spacing. They started off with a solid double digits in game 1, and now with 25 additional points to their name, it's likely that they're close to taking the lead. We'll have to see how it matches up, especially with EOS once again returning to the top 3.
I think that's the real standout to me here, is the fact that EOS are again right next door. They didn't have as good of a game as last time, but when we compare them to JSA, who aren't even in the list of the top 10, things get a little more complicated when it comes to the overall standings. EOS are
Right.
likely going to be in first place now because of this, and Flower Power should be pulling a strong second or maybe even third,
Maybe.
depending on how JSA performed.
As we make our way down the list here, UTFT showing up with much better prowess after what was their
Mm,
early elimination last game. Lust falls just a bit with some relative mixing. I will point out Team Nothing. They do survive all the way into what I believe was 7th, but that makes up the only bit of the points they pick up here in this game.
yeah, we had several other teams give it their all. UTFT, lasting quite a long time. Arc the same, actually doing a good bit of brawling to make their way here. Their placement points not nearly on par with the squad right below them, but still being able to clean up a lot of
Very
kills
nice.
on their way in. Nice Girls with a good bit of tenacity once again are still on the radar after game 1. But that's our second game of World's Edge. Not our last, but very close to it. We've got one more opportunity for these teams to prove their mettle on World's Edge, El Clasico, before we move on over to Storm Point, as we take a look at 11th through 20th to really round out the standings.
JSA there. That's the big one to take a look at with only four points at the end of their second game. They obviously put themselves above the rest with a very solid 25-point start, but actually maybe falling lower than we had expected after this kind of result. I'm surprised.
I think a lot of people will be, right? And I mean, it's a good thing that here in Celestial Cup, these teams have been given the opportunity to continue to strut their stuff and show us how good they've gotten from week to week, and even improve given their competition with each other. I think JSA's lack of dominance in the first 2 games has already given us that. Despite the fact that they are still a strong team, they are no longer uncontestable. And it'll continue to get harder for them, we assume, as the weeks go on. They will be able to, just like the other squads, though, improve. And they might just show us that they're not even out of the woods just yet in the next game. The only way to find that out, though, is to take a short break before we see you in game 3.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell, Dia is crying tears of joy, and he just simply can't be here. He had to take a moment away, and hopefully he'll be on his way back shortly. But at least you still have me. I'm that guy. I'm that cool dude. And at least you still have all these lovely teams that are competing here today, especially as they make their way onto their final game of World's Edge. Before we get to it, let's take a look at the scores. Obviously, we do come off of a big win from EOS, or my apologies, Flower Power. But was it enough? Answer clearly points to yes. 39 points now in first place here, but it is not by a large margin. Only 5 ahead of EOS, who, yes, my apologies, were there in both of the top threes of these last 2 games. And of course, JSA, albeit falling quite early with only 4 points, still put up a notable total. I have to say, with confidence, as we can slowly hear Dia making his way back, that absolute piece. Lust are in this still as well. This was a team that had great performance coming out of week 1 with 15 points, but that is still a noticeable gap between them and, of course, our top 3 providers after our first 2 games.
Certainly is. You can make up 10 points in a game even without getting first, but anything more than that really does require a win, at least a top 2 placement with decent KP. Thank you so much, Zephyr. I
For what?
appreciate you. I appreciate you
Oh, okay.
for being a king.
All right. All right.
We're gonna watch this streamed live on Instagram.
I was gonna say, getting some squared perspectives. I mean, things are really taking shape.
Can you live stream on Instagram? I know you can do. I know you can do TikTok things on Instagram. Can you live?
No idea.
Oh, I'll have to Google that. People
Anyways.
start asking me if I was born in 1980. Oh, sure.
Insay, we love you. Happy birthday.
Yeah, we do.
Happy
we
birthday.
do. And get that win. Get it, girl. We're close.
Yeah.
Like
Barely. Veneer is the team that we're watching out for. I mean,
No.
last week it was quite effective.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like it was actually like it really was within the realm of possibility last week. This week things are not feeling as good, but maybe it's just because we started on World's Edge, right? Last round, get it all together, but then we've got to move on over to Stormpoint, and perhaps that's Veneer's map, at least for this week. We'll get a chance to find all that out and more as we keep our eyes out for any 50-50s. You talked a little bit about wanting to see Team Nothing. Keeping my eye out for them. Are they over by? I can barely see.
Yes, they are
New
contesting. Yes, they are contesting VCK. Once again, and we'll see if they potentially. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, they just really rub it into your face.
I appreciate it. I mean, really though, I think I got to start looking into getting glasses. I was like, I know I should be able to read that. What's going on with me? For now, I can at least see that the purple armor and 2 white armors should have an advantage, at least in a clean early game fight. Thing is, center countdown. Can't tell if it's open just yet. But Strawberry didn't seem to be even looking in that direction since they've got Flesh in front of them. Already started to cement their name in the countdown history. Strawberry can push forward, but Yellow's going down onto the low ground. A good bit of scouting with the Sierra will be available to differentiate team members, but for right now, it means the Team Nothing are lacking firepower in a straight 3v3, especially since they just lost their Sierra to a clean 1-clip from a 99.
I am disappointed. Obviously, I want to see the success of Team Nothing here, but at the end of the day, the squad who has faced the most difficulties early is their opposer here. On the opposite end, VSK have gone down early twice and basically 20th 2 times in a row. So we'll hopefully see them maybe find their own path to victory, as it looks like Flower Power, once again, a very quick rotation down from the northern side here, will look to capitalize as well. Most of this damage already being provided, and swinging around the side, finding Light Years stuck between the cracks.
That was a really nice bit of game sense, Miss Dopey. That was very cool to watch. Being able to pick up that kill will mean just the 1 point, but with Flower Power already having to pick up the win in game 2, 1 point can also change the game for them. Arc with an early rotation over did end up finding kills last game. It looks like they might again this time. Armenta's already gone down though, and with Flower Power in the area, this could very easily be third-partied. Sammy, not going to take too much damage on the exit. Arc do play this safer rather than sorry. I'm just not sure whether they'll be able to get out in time. Giggle Autumn's already finished off the kill onto their Valkyrie, and with little mobility, with fewer shields and health, Piku's going to have to use the ultimate to try and get out, then dodge the thermite, and still barely make it as the shields get through, and Piku goes down to Dopey.
Dopey there from afar will find the knocks. Meanwhile, for Sammy, also picking up 1 in the final wipe over Valk. At least it's some KP to work with in the end, but you lose out on both of your teammates into the sky. Sammy will fly, but now Arc weakened, and it's such a shame too, especially after what was a very dominant and controlled fragging squad in our second game of World's Edge. But I'll tell you what, you know who's happy. Flower Power. They've already started them with a great lead in the next 2 and now look to secure it even further.
The most muscular Flower I've ever seen, being able to flex all over these fools that are landing just south of them. If you fight, Flower Power are sure to third party. It was their MO in game number 1. They didn't even need anybody to ask them, are you sure, do you want to take this? They sprinted it all the way down south and are going to continue doing so as long as this 50-50 takes place. It's benefited them more than anyone. As they get to continue in this game, the thing is, they won't be moving very far. They likely won't be encountering a whole lot of other third-party situations since the zone is pulling right next door outside of Landslide. It seems like Nice Girls, though, will have the opportunity to fight already. Have 1 low, no crack just yet. Movana's taking risks here, but also taking lives as WKL go down to Nice Girls.
Beautiful setup there, but now can they survive the onslaught from behind? Control 3, hear the shots, they come into third party, and look at the beam of the 301. Nice Girls, they show up and they show out, but they disappear just as quickly. 17th eliminated. It looks like Chaz, she picks up the majority and now resides as the kill leader in this lobby.
I mean, the smoke hadn't even cleared before Nice Girls' bodies hit the floor. It was really unfortunate to watch them be rolled up on that quickly. The Control Freaks having such a fast move, even with Caustic, definitely playing counter to their composition, but it's looking really good. JSA and a skirmish meanwhile trying to wrap around the side and actually find a nice stick with the Arc Star, evidently just onto the Seer ult though. Ava does have the opportunity to pop a shield. That Janie needing to do the same, leading just stabbed in the front line, find that first knock onto Nature and continuing with the Sabs dominance train. This is a hype that I am happy to be a part of. JSA are really looking good right now, cleaning up the kills that they were already able to knock down, dodging the Singularity behind this cover. Being able to get it alive? No! They're getting third party! Oh no! They've been run up on by Flower Power!
Yeah, I was about to say, we just saw Flower Power out towards the west of Countdown. You have to be more wary than this for JSA. We talk about their aggression, we talk about the success it can bring, but when you're putting yourself in situations like that, it is going to face punishment for Flower Power. This is a huge victory. We talk about top 3 gaps here. Well, it's widening for 2, but for JSA, they're going to have to look towards Storm Point to find their success.
Why are Flower Power so cool? Why are they so on it? I say again, for a team running Caustic, they're really playing WP. I don't mind it at all, but it is very confusing, Zephyr.
Hey, right place, right time. That's what it really feels like with Flower Power right now. They've set themselves up, and no discredit. Cleaning up these squads is difficult in certain situations here, but they find their way into a lot of fights after the fact and has net them most of their scoring here to begin with in Game 3.
They really take advantage of the way that these games have been set up. A lot of these teams want to take fights earlier on, and Flower Power are absolutely happy to help that along. They have a hub that discourages people to engage with them first, pushing them towards others, and they take advantage of that. Venire up on height over by Thermal will need to move their way into ring, though it's not too far of a distance. The fact is that with 2 squads right next door to them, a knock certainly would be helpful. They've already found a little bit of damage, but are moving towards Dorito building. This should already be territory that's taken.
Yeah, we know for a fact when the zone pulls towards staging, this kind of high ground can come into such aggressive play, especially given the fact that this zone can pull either directly into the POI or out towards the geyser area. And even though it might already be taken, it is a contested point, one that Venire might look to play off of. You can see them, though, a bit of a turn. Some angles covered on both sides. Looks like a distance ahead. You've got a squad, likely, yes, TLM, who pepper back. And another.
Another one.
Yeah.
TLM spot is doable. I like this position generally. You know that I favor these rocks. For the end game, they're not going to be great, but for now, especially with the amount of chaos that we've had in the first couple rings, having a spot that's easy to defend can get you at least a few placement points. And in fact, it already has. TLM have gotten themselves 1 point simply by being one of the squads alive. Venire, the same. Also having not found any kills just yet. I keep saying Venire. I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like I'm in old Italy,
I was just
even
saying,
though it's just literally not how the word is pronounced.
it's Venire.
I'm just
You disrespect the second place team of week 1, split 2? What kind of fan are you? It's Zeppeltus's birthday.
Not me, Encephalitis, please. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
By the
you
way,
know what?
did you-
So are they.
Did you notice that? Did you notice that Rachel Jen is the name, and Jen Rachel changed her name, just flipped it around? It's something that I noticed, and it's like, that's cute.
I hadn't noticed, so thank you for pointing it out.
Yeah, Rachel Jen Rachel.
Yeah. Given every once in a while, it's like rearranging the furniture in your living room. You got to do it to give yourself some spice in life. I don't actually know if that's something you do because you live your life differently though. You do different
Furniture. The heck is that?
That's what I'm saying. I think that's actually exactly the point that I wanted to illustrate. Lock Nest have been paying a good amount of attention though and are rearranging some bodies right now as they try to drop onto Miss Exodia. Something that honestly is going to look pretty good for them in the KP, but not actually a kill that's been cleaned up just yet. Letting Faye and Mighty Macaroni take the lead as I think with a really nice move, you check your back and make sure nobody is running up behind you.
For Lust here, though, in Fissure, it seems like they've got a team ahead of them that they look to potentially finish off. In the window, you can see a Legend just scurrying away for Scarlet's Envy. Maybe far too aggressive of a move forward. It's UTFT on their way, but not before Renee with her own drop in response. Evens the playing field for now, a 2v2. I like this. Getting them out of a bad situation. Second floor, block all sides and stick to the revive if you can. I gotta say that's fairly open there, but I believe Keith is on coverage.
That was a really quick trigger pull on the Wraith ult as well. Great communication from Lust.
Very good.
A team that, has been on our radar today, but definitely impressing with just
And
that
last
micro
week.
decision, saving themselves from the third party out of UTFT.
Here for Lust now. Obviously, this, though, is not a fantastic spot to be in. They no longer have the Wraith for the movement that it can potentially provide there, especially if they find themselves in a sticky situation. Now being, obviously, one of the furthest presenting zone teams away from zone. Flower Power, obviously, a little bit more in control, but obviously not in a spot as well. You have to wonder, are they going to put themselves a little bit down, kind of towards that over-encompassing hillside there, or it looks like they're actually going to be rotating, more out towards the east, train line ahead of staging.
They can get their hands on this RV, and it looks like it's open given where Princess is standing right now. It's really good to hold down, gets them a lot of KP as well. They've got some decent range to be able to take advantage of squads over by Countdown, and with a Caustic, I mean, the RVs do not get harder to contest than pushing into Stinky Papa.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't have the dramatic information we do, but most of the teams are competing out towards the geyser itself, directly towards the west. Obviously, we have some late rotators between, obviously, Lust and UTFT that might provide some alternative difficulties. But the big thing here is Flower Power basically has first take over kind of this lay of the land, might be able to stick a quick scan as well, and really put themselves in the god spot for some of these final pulls.
Would be a really nice thing for them, since this game is going to be all about not whether they put themselves in first, because at this point with 7 squads left, they have. The question is just by how far they're going to do it, and any play that gets them 1, 2, 3 more points, or points that they don't have to worry about on Storm, point taken. Separate point taken. Control Freaks, however, on the low ground, do have a rough go, especially since this has shifted pretty dramatically as we move down even further and over to the eastern side of the map. Teams like TLM, who were on the height previously, now are going to have to rethink their own rotation in, and with Control Freaks not having a Valk, things will get even more difficult because it's not just low ground, it's not just a rotation, it's both combined with no inherent vertical mobility.
Well, 50 seconds to go. There's still time to make a decision, but obviously it's one that's going to be pressing with at least some combat. Obviously, you can see some takes being made now as there looked to be a rotation up a little bit of that hillside before we tuned away. Veneer, they themselves covering on the outskirts of staging, a bit split. They've got, I believe, Jen trying to get maybe a scan or no, just covering the angle up there on train line itself, just anchoring, resolving that high ground for when Inseplatus needs to come back.
TLM up on this height, they're delaying a rotation to be able to grief teams on low ground, something that I really do not mind, and a lot of other teams really following suit as well. We've seen an extension of the squad holding staging for the moment. Veneer to be able to try and do exactly the same. A Kraber, though, does really help being able to put in that one shot to maybe just take someone down, as has so frequently happened in skirmishes. They will have to make their way into zone now. Those are starting to close in. They will encounter problems on their way there as well, hoping now that this red weapon really gets value. Veneer, gatekeeping on their own, are going to be putting shots in towards the high ground. This could be it for Flower Power, as their spot is no longer in zone. The Loch Nesties are gone, and I watched that kill feed like a hawk to see if they drop.
Yeah, big breaks you can see on some shields here, but no possible drop to follow suit. You can see Inseplatus, this specific position, and no longer in a very good line of sight. Already trying to see if she could take an alternative angle, but not quite finding the climb necessary. Just a little too slippery, and we didn't quite get to see it, but yes, you were correct. The rotation there for TLM was, in fact, punished. It looks like a bit of a mix between teams that reside in our lobby.
I'm fascinated that Flower Power took part in that, given that they were running, given that they were already chunked out. They still managed to rack up some kills by cleaning up TLM, who were on the rotation in, and now have height from, I mean, a terrible spot into arguably one of the best in the lobby. They still will be going up against Veneer in what is likely to be the final circle if either team makes a mistake, but things are looking Flower Powering at the moment with the way this is sorted out. Double grenades are going to find Veneer, but not before Rachel gets a sick knock. I don't know what on earth is going on today, but the beams are landing. They are really going hard. These ones, unfortunately, not really working out, as Inset fan numero uno does not get the knock, but Veneer are able to retake height, unfortunately being beamed from above. Inseplatus cannot go down here. Doesn't have that tack just yet. And check out who's on the high ground. We've only got 4 teams left. The Flower Power know where the threats are, and they are focusing down Veneer.
Mind you, Veneer are the only other full 3-lady roster in our current lobby, for where, in all intents purposes, Liz and Jazz, as they are forced to climb up as well, are likely to, we'll say, throw a wrench in the plan of wherever Veneer find themselves. And you know what? Never mind. It's just a 3v3 now. that entire point, just moot.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've all been there. Unfortunately for Veneer, they're also they're not in the same place as Flower Power were, say, last game up against EOS, where they had Dome, they were on the same level. Veneer just don't have any height. They don't have really anything. They have limited ways to get there. They have angles that can be taken on them, and this section of the bridge is really the only place they can play. Even that with a really nice thermite does get bamboozled upon. The last time I saw somebody win a zone like this was that famous Howl win at the Wraith play. I don't even know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
I'll find that clip. I'll find that
It's
clip.
been one hot minute here. I mean, what's going to be one hot minute waiting for this zone to finally start closing in? Because I think the result is all but secured. We might see one kind of exposure of a grav lift extended to potentially get Veneer up into a point of play, but I mean, you can see it. Giggle,
I'm
Princess,
missing
Miss Dopey are
Let me
directly
start
waiting.
talking.
There it is.
We're
There it
gonna
is.
see how this play works out, because Veneer have decided to contest high ground. Doesn't look like it's working out. That's a big stinky pop a bomb and a great Horizon ult on top of it. We got health ticking down. 8 seconds left on this zone close, and the one prayer, the one push that Veneer made has now been stopped. They're right back down to the low ground. Traps are being set up again, and you said it before, Zephyr. Flower Power maybe could have dropped one, but they're not going to drop everyone like this. Veneer know it, but they've got to try anyway. We respect the push off onto high ground, but they come into the lawnmower that has been Flower Power this game and end up leaving us for good. Leaving Flower Power with 2 wins on World's Edge.
Flower Power now here confidently in the lead with a strong gap that has likely formed, especially now that EOS as well as JSA were unable to last into this game. Noticeably, I mean, we can point out immediately, EOS down there in 9th, JSA even lower. It's a happy 24 additional points to push Flower Power ahead. But I'll tell you what, I'm even more happy though to see Veneer back in it. I mean, last week they had a dominant performance and we're only clicks away from taking first place, and it was just a few bad games that pushed them into second. And now obviously this might be the same thing, albeit reversed, but still 17 17.
I could definitely see something like that happening this week, like you said, in reverse, where they've gotten the bad luck a little bit earlier on than everyone else. There will be a transition point now, though, because we finished our 3rd game. We will be moving on over to Storm Point and the second half of this leaderboard, so we can take a look at 11th through 20th and see who got a little bit cursed this game. There were a lot of casualties
Arc.
in the early game, specifically, I think, because Flower Power was on so much of a rampage. That we can certainly attribute JSA being at 17th to.
JSA obviously paying the price there, but also teams like we saw, such as ARC, who paid the price coming out of Fissure fairly early on at the hands of at least what was Flower Power's dominant aggression. Surprisingly, 2 squads that we don't see down here was VSK and Team Nothing, even though they themselves were also kind of harassed out of their rotation from Control. They did survive up into kind of the single digits there, which garnered them a little bit further placement, albeit not much to chant about.
Yes, not quite enough in such a top heavy lobby, and we will be focusing on our top teams as soon as we get back with those overall scoreboards. But before we do that, before we move to Storm Point, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Oh, you told me at 3 seconds, and now we're here. We've got it ready for you. Week 2 Split 2 continues right here, right now, in the second half of the Celestial Cup. This is Dia. This is Zephyr. And let's take a look at our top teams because we've got business to get down to. I want to see who's in the lead. It's Flower Power, obviously. We all know it's Flower Power, but I didn't know that it was by so much.
26 points. That pushes Flower Power above EOS. That's right. I do quick math. Call me Jamerson. It looks like for now, Flower Power going to be in a very, very strong start to Storm Point. But obviously, this is the map that brings a little bit of the chaos, as I say it for the 100th time, running that one into the ground. That typically leads to even our best performing teams maybe finding a bit of a blockade. But still, though, just looking at those statistics are just, I mean, that's absurd. That's a easily 3K plus per game damage, an easy 10 kills per game there for Flower Power. I mean, they dwarf the nearest, which is a 3-way tie of 17 between EOS, JSA, and Control Freaks.
Yeah, it's really a ridiculous performance from Flower Power today, and I'm glad they've got EOS right next door to them. With JSA again coming up in third, there's got to be some frustration there. I can't wait to see what they do with it. Vinny are also one of the teams that we're keeping our eyes on. They still got to find themselves that birthday win. But Zephyr, I wanted to ask you a question because you
Yes.
said this, and I can't help but agree. Every time we see
Questions.
Starpoint, we go, man, it's going to be a little more chaotic, or haha, it's so funny because these teams don't really know the map as well. And I don't necessarily know if that's true. Do you think we'll ever stop saying that, or do you think it's something
Okay.
about the map?
It's so funny because I had this discussion on a cast. I don't know if it was with you. I mean, we can make our
Might have
bets
been.
and say it probably was, given that you're the only person I work with. At a certain point, teams have garnered practice. And funny enough, actually, hilariously, Raven hosted a year in review of Stormpoint literally today for TSM, just discussing the fact that we've seen Stormpoint now for a year today, right? So
Mm,
it's very much not new. And I think competitively, we've seen it for half of that time. Now,
mhm.
granted, World's Edge has seen a much, much longer trajectory in terms of Apex as a whole, but I
But
am beginning to agree with you. I think while it is not an exact science to the degree of World's Edge, I think the excuses of, oh, this is a little bit more new are maybe no longer the right thing. I mean, maybe it's time between me and you we start to change our vocabulary here.
yeah, because yeah, it's just this thing about calling something chaotic, not necessarily untrue, but seeing it as a result of lack of familiarity may
Right.
may not be the
Storm
proper
Point
thing
is
anymore.
a chaotic map, but
Mhm.
just because it insists upon itself to be that way, not particularly because teams don't understand it anymore, but due to the fact of multiple things regarding the way it was built. It
Mhm.
is a massive, massive map, the largest, albeit we'll see a larger one here at the beginning of November, but
Mhm.
one that provides a complete absurd difference in terms of high ground and vertical disparities, as well as major open fields in ways that also sometimes come back to bite teams who aren't as confident on their rotations. I think it's not that Storm Point's newness is something that gives way to teams. I think Storm Point is a great map for highlighting the weakness of certain squads.
Yeah, especially when it comes to rotations. I mean, storm points are always really telegraphed and vulnerable when we think of grav cannons and tridents as well. You don't have the balloons that you have on World's Edge to be able to
No?
take you essentially a Valk ult, and even Valk is weaker here, so especially
Yep.
emphasizing rotationally based teams. The other thing that I've been saying about Storm Point forever is the buildings literally just aren't as good. They like the buildings have holes in them. They're like cheddar cheese, these buildings, with so many angles of attack.
It's like
And,
what's it called? It's like
oh, it's Swiss cheese, not cheddar.
no, it's like the buildings and swamps of World's Edge. No, sorry, of Kings Canyon.
Yeah. With so many of those weird angles, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I feel that 100%, and I think that definitely contributes. We'll see how it works out here, as we have kept a pace that I don't think is going to move that much faster on Storm Point. If anything, I think things might slow down here in Celestial Cup, mainly because
Nah.
of the literal distance between teams.
No.
No?
Things do not slow down. There's already a squad dead.
RIP.
I
Feels
will
bad.
tune
I'll
in
miss
with
you, Yor.
yeah. Team Nothing, by the way, I talked to Light Years, as I said earlier, and she confirmed immediately that they were contesting all 6 games, right? So this may not be VSK, but it is definitely another squad that they will meet up against here, the Down Beast. I already like the fact that they put themselves towards this high ground, but obviously when it comes to the Down Beast, it is a massive POI, an absolute monstrous one at that, and it
You
allows
could-
for other squads
You could
to
absolutely split it as well. I mean,
yes, oh
teams,
yeah.
monstrous as it may be, which is a great pun, by the way. They can just decide to take either side. They don't in this particular case. It's a fun fight around, but it also means teams can engage in. VSK even trying to start a fight, encounter problems, trying to wrap around on this height where they can't actually take shots. Instead, gotta be run up on. Kathleen gets pushed right back down to the low ground. They're back where they started, albeit a little bit lower health. Kathleen almost taken down. VSK stay alive, relegated to the low ground.
I find it remarkable that it is VSK once again. I didn't know it was going to be this particular squad going once again the same POY here as Team Nothing. Who knows? Might be something behind the scenes. Either way, an exhibit down for both squads to provide information. This is where we will see a definite lull in the action with far too much information. You can see Team Nothing, though, has carried themselves towards that kind of northern side of the beast, as to potentially give themselves maybe a different alternative opening, as it looks like in the kill feed we see our second squad fall, L&W.
Unfortunately out. Be seeing any more of them. Keeping our eyes on the sort of highlight squads on either side of the kill feed will be really important in these games. With Team Nothing actually getting a lot of visitors right now, despite the fact that they've been here
Third
for
party time.
ages and that they want to start moving on. Literally, nobody's giving them the space to.
This is the problem when you go for early contest. If you can't finish the job, I mean, at a certain point, you pretty much have to let it go. As you can see there in the distance, I mean, I don't know if that is VSK, but with Lust very much on our screens right now, yeah, there are alternative squads that are in the area, have heard the shots, have heard the action, and now make their way in. Thankfully for Team Nothing, it was a big move. They redeploy and they take themselves away from the danger. I don't know about VSK though. They might have walked specifically towards these houses and might be the next to potentially fall. They themselves though, we can catch on the map very quickly, just taking the trident ahead.
That Trident also vulnerable rotation, but with a little bit of cover, things do get easier. A nice beauty shot in the upper left of the map also gives us some much needed information as to what teams are around, maybe looking for additional third parties. In this case, everybody's more or less sorted out where they're going to be for the early game. As the round starts closing, as it already has, teams are going to be forced into checkpoint and all the POIs beyond it as we pull further and further into the eastern side of the map.
Comms here. Finally, we get to address someone who is directly in zone, set up within the lagoon for now. It seems like they've spotted out a squad that has carried themselves down the hillside. So nice drain of focus here from Roses. They won't land any particular damage. They do get a bit of a break on the Seer, but we both know this is not enough access to really full send on a team, especially to make your way towards what will be you at a low ground disadvantage by the time you actually get there to address it. So for now, the majority sticks on Lagoon. It does look like there is a bit of a separation. Roses is anchoring here.
Good move as well. Flower Power are going to need somebody to do it since Giggle Autumn is down so often the center of their fight. With Dovey and Princess, they're big fraggers on the side, though. There's still a world where they win this fight on the roof. They've lost out onto Caustic Gas. Is going to run out. They don't have the opportunity to get a res. Will our first place team go out here with no placement points, with no kills? It is certainly a possibility. Here goes the res. The interrupt is on the money. Flower Power have got to wait yet again for another stage time to pull this off. I don't know if they're even going to get it. Getting double push. Princess is going to go out, and so will Flower Power in 18th place.
18th place finish there for Flower Power, and that's a large, at least difficulty for them, especially as we start talking about EOS, JSA. They remain currently in Game 4. This is the perfect opportunity for them, or maybe even Veneer, right, who come out in second in our final game of World's Edge to potentially, we'll say, put up the points here to catch them. We tune in with Veneer just on the outskirts of Wall. Obviously, we know some teams set themselves up in this POI, but we can actually see one crafting there. If you caught a little bit of the glimpse of the light for Veneer, it's the perfect opportunity to make their way and start finding angles.
This is your game, Veneer. This is when you got to do it. We saw a really good last game on World's Edge. Step already going low. Everybody's pushing forward. Light Years also taken down almost to 0. And that gives Veneer confidence to continue pushing forward. No knocks yet, but things are looking like it's in their favor. Light Years is down, and the gravity lift is become theirs. They focus down yet another member knocked down on the floor. Oh my god, knock on the sky. We're quite low up there. Split off on the ballast is really smart, and it'll be Veneer settling for just the 1 kill.
One kill is enough to give them their confidence on the backside of Wall. This zone ahead here is no longer as dangerous as it looks to be, just pulling slightly southwest here, a little bit of a mix towards particularly outside of Checkpoint. We'll have to pull back the map here to get a little bit more of a clearer view, but it doesn't change the fact that Veneer now have at least the stability to address whatever squads may lay ahead.
And they've still got plenty of height to work with as well. As they move down towards Control Center, they should be able to hang on to even passing Cascade. EOS, not in the same position, not by a long shot, have to yeet themselves out of ring in order to stay alive, being, I think, our only team to be running Bloodhound and Bangalore. The fight didn't go in their way, and a quick reset is not something that I'm going to be too troubled about. Loch Nessie is having to do the same thing, however, with a whole lot of teams in the area, will start causing problems, as you've got to find some sort of way to make your way towards the north.
Obviously, that choke ahead there with the spiders is the first point of target here for Loch Nessies as they start to look towards Zone 3. Curious to see if anyone may have taken up residency, a house here, a choke there. We know for a fact that these buildings, particularly the ones right off of this ahead of the Spider Cave, can usually host some teams, and especially the big question being the squad that set themselves up out of Checkpoint. Where did they go? Looks like they're right here.
Loch Nessie's on the run now. do still have Rena needing to heal up. Might not get the opportunity to.
Oh,
We can
no.
see them chunked out even further. Still top 15, so no placement points have been accumulated yet. Can't risk dropping the squad for the sake of one. But with some really nice shots from Faye on the side, Rena's getting the opportunity to heal up. So is Mighty Macaroni, and all they've got to do is group up to be able to move past this chokehold using things like the Valkyrie ult. They aren't the only ones fighting, though. We get a chance to look at Veneer fighting from the low ground, but moving their way into height. They've still got a great position as they're the ones with the priority rotation on the ring. But Instep can't go down here, climbing up on the rock. So risky, eating shots from the front. An Instep fan goes down, leaving just Rachel, Jen, and Inceptulous up to be able to take this engagement. Running forward on the race, he's got one opportunity to make this fight. Liz is down, it's a 2v2, and Inceptulous has fallen as well. A nice shot from Luke with the PK, leaves just Rachel, Jen, and it will not be enough. Veneer are out in 15.
Yeah, but it looks like UTFT might be out in 14th here. You can see A Breeze finding first knocks onto Julie Laxton from the alternative angle there. UTFT will fall. It's Nirvana and the Nice Girls on the other side. They ended up being pinched by 2 squads. And the one now coming out of Command Center. You have to wonder where they will push themselves. It looks like for Nice Girls, they actually train their attention back towards that respawn, at least Beacon for now. Team on the height. Big damage from PBG with that charge rifle, but the zone likely to push them away.
Going to be a Nice Girls, maybe not victory, but like top 3 performance. They did have a really difficult time when it came to World's Edge, but they've already cleaned up Flower Power. Now they've helped escort 2 more squads out of contention entirely, placed themselves in the top 13 with plenty of KP, and are at Cascade on height with a replicator and nothing to worry about. Nice Girls have set themselves up really well, but one thing they've got to be concerned with is an ambush.
Ooh. Speaking of ambush, it looks like JSA ready to pay at least a visit to this squad here ahead. Obviously, you could see Ava trained with the scan. You can feel the heartbeats in the distance. They are already shooting there over on the side. You can see Sabs trying to train at least someone down there. No shields to be cracked, but it definitely provides the pressure that will push this squad away from the current position of JSA.
Certainly does. And JSA's spot, while technically low ground later on, is also not really something that a lot of teams want to contest because it is so difficult to hold on to. As they move up, they'll also have 3 dibs on that building. And yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We're fine. It's the north and it's late in the day, Zephyr. Take a chill pill as we pull over to
Okay. Wow. That was a word that I said. I was shocked to see a zone like this, just as I am shocked to see Climatizer when it appears on World's Edge. There's a there's your train of thought. Either way, JSA put themselves in checkpoint for now alongside a plethora of other squads. This kind of low ground is something that I'm always interested in when it comes to checkpoint. You have multiple teams that will be able to host kind of in this low ground area as they themselves will compete, and then the ones on top will have their own battles to work with, especially when we talk about the next and further zones.
Of our top teams, it is only
here you go.
JSA and EOS that are still in the running. No, maybe the Mommy ends up falling, and that means the Mommies are likely going to be in a difficult spot. Actually getting a knock right back. Things are looking good for them. Turning around, and there we go. I was really hoping to swing back in their favor. Lush don't get theirs. They are now gone, and Mighty Macaroni gets taken down by Ava here at the top. JSA, honestly, quite confident right now. Actually, if their Seer dropping down, and that means you are making big moves because there's no way Seer's getting on top without the rest of the team.
Ava might carry herself towards this edge zip line. That's the access, but no. Instead, she'll drop right in front of her. Trained with the Volt will find the crack, but not quite the knock. Even still, though, this is a prime position to put JSA ahead in a spot for Checkpoint as a whole, and obviously to take advantage of some of the fruits of their label, pick up some of those kills that we saw from moments ago. Meanwhile, for Nice Girls, they actually catch the back end of that fight.
And got a real nice seer interrupt already laid in. They couldn't find the actual kills on these folks immediately, but instead, War of Attrition's going to be won slowly but surely. The SK have gone down, and we're into top 8. Nice Girls still have to move forward. They're going to be relying on Movana and the angles they can find in order to do so. She's got a good one. Moving up, they clear out this rock. Bangalore smoke still in front of them. Shows EOS for hanging out up here, and missing Zodia going down to Pretty Bond Girl. Ends up making things really complex if you want to try and hold that height. Nice Girls are really slow and controlled right now and are pushing squads to make really difficult calls.
And they've got all the time in the world, and with a scan like that, they have all the information they need. EOS now pressed up against this wall. A thermite may not land, but it keeps them moving away. You gotta love that Bangalore smoke, though. It does, yes, it does surprisingly allow for EOS to actually make a subtle escape. For the Nice Girls, they've decided they're opting for the alternative choke here to find their way into Checkpoint. I mean, they had the setup. They had the damage. They already found one here. Why make a move like this?
It's definitely a safer play, but a little bit confusing for us.
There goes EOS.
Sure. Maybe they sniffed out the third party. They didn't want any part of it. What it looks like they're planning now, though, is to try and Valk if they're going to be hanging around there. Maybe just trading a few resources. It is going to be a really difficult approach if anybody is looking down at them. But with JSA trading shots across the way, all they've got to do is rely on Ava not to look down upon them. And for now, it isn't happening. Way too concerned with the other squad that they're coexisting alongside in Checkpoint.
All right, this is what I talked about, moments ago. The fact that you've got these teams who tend to fight each other on the upper angles here because you're usually contesting for building on building. These low ground teams will play in the mud with each other, like the piggies they are. As this zone continues to tighten and squeeze here, it's likely we see the final moments for some, especially those coming out from the eastern choke, that might be in a little bit more of a dire straits situation. The Mommies, they've got this southern building. Obviously, it's time to start talking about final moments here. Hey, it wasn't a complete wipe. She was just knocked.
She was bled out. That's
really?
That's a res right there. I'm surprised they were able to pull that off. And look at that. Res beacon right in front of this building. No longer in play. The Mommies really have made a big turnaround here to get Mimi back in. With the building that they have on the low ground, with all the teams that are going to come for them, is maybe the right word, on the height, they might be able to just benefit off the traffic jam that's going to happen.
We can scan this area.
For Mommies here, it's still a good spot regarding this zone. They start to expand a little bit more space to potentially punish these teams that are taking damage or dropping now. For Strawberry, she will pay the price as one of those there. Looks like for the Mommies, they're not alone though. Teams out here towards the east who have made their way from building to building are starting to put up their own moves as well. Still though, Mommies, this is kind of that dominant god spot that you have to work with. I'm more worried about teams like JSA. They're going to be pretty much at least, well, I think they'll still have height. They'll still be playing at least this direct exposure here, but there are multiple squads that still could contest, obviously from behind or when they are forced to make that shot.
Like a JSA Mommies game right now, based on position alone. We haven't seen who will be able to make those really aggressive pushes and take power spots away, but especially onto teams like JSA, it's really unlikely as there just aren't that many paths up onto their height. They've got plenty of ammunition, plenty of meds, no reason to drop down. Instead, they watch squads rain down around them. It's about to start taking to the sky, panic ulting, and we'll see what happens here because things are going to be looking really antsy for Mimi and the Mommies, and even more so when we look outside of Ring to whatever cluster is going on here.
PBG and crew will find themselves on the interior arc, noticeably paying what is the first knock. Sammy will be completely wiped. Movana picking up that KP as it looks like JSA clean up the team from behind comms as they make their way out of their building. Looks like for Mimi and the Mommies, they will contest the building ahead. PBG as well have moved actually away from this building, but find great angles on Pika and Aramenta.
That's gone now, and there is actually an angle where they can take this. Piku has gone low though, with no ammunition really left in the car. We gotta take a moment to bat, a moment that will kill them. JSA have claimed the rest of those. Nice Girls have gone out to the very same shots from both they and the Mommies, and now it's JSA's turn to take a game. They took game 1. Can they take down the Mommies and make it a second? Fourth game of the day, only one way to find out. Right now,
look,
they've got
Sabs.
very little to work with, but like you say, Sabs on that off angle has opened up so much space for JD to follow up, so much space for Ava to be able to throw in shots as well. Things start getting real complex, and all the Mommies have just given this position up. Only 2 scanned inside the building, but that is going to be more than enough for JSA to start taking flank angles. As a reminder, these buildings, not easy to defend, especially when you're trapped inside them. Ava's gone low, Sabs has taken this as well, and it's 2v2, and JD just breezes right through here with the PK, finding the counter knock just in time, and taking JSA to the victory.
JSA, their second win of the day here in the Celestial Cup Soul League. The first of maybe potentially many on Stormpoint. Congratulations to them. They've had some rough strides when we talk about the rest of World's Edge, but are still here to play.
They put themselves closer to that top level. It's not going to be enough. It might be enough. It might not. It's like
It won't be first.
Sorry?
It won't be first.
It won't be first, but it'll be in the conversation for it, is what I'd imagine. 25-point game is actually the same amount of points that they put up in game 1, and with the Mommies coming up behind them, I think this is their best game so far.
Well, looks like, yeah, I mean, from a point standing for Nice Girls, it might be the same. Looks like as we make our way down the list, Arc, Com, some names we've seen before. Obviously for EOS, definitely lower than some of the earlier expectations they had set at the beginning of the day. But there's a name that I don't see anywhere on this list.
Veneer?
No, Flower Power.
Flower Power. Okay. I was like, oh god.
Yo,
oh god.
The leaders of our lobby.
Yeah. Flower Power have had a relatively good day. This, you wouldn't know it. 0-point game was not their best. It was the same thing that they did to JSA 2 games ago. So fair is fair, I suppose, but it isn't going to be looking good on their resume, and they do still have time to keep their top spot, although I think it'll be taken away from this game. I don't know. We gotta wait for all the scores. You think so?
Jeez. Okay. No. I think
My
they
math
still
is bad right now.
Yeah, just leave it to the maticians behind the scene here. Obviously, for us on the desk, we're going to be making our way towards a short break. When we come back, we'll have all of that and more before we get into Game 5. Stick around.
folks, game 5 gonna be coming at you soon here at the Celestial Cup.
Oh,
Week 2
God.
split 2, game numero 5. And let's take a look at the leaderboards as we get into it, as this is the penultimate game. It's gonna be opening
Yes.
up JSA to overpass Flower Power after a big win last game, and Flower Power with a 0-point game.
We talk about back on what was World's Edge here only after the break, and JSA were tied at what was 17. They pick up a full 13 kills coming off of their first map of Storm Point, and now push their way up to 55. Only a surpassing distance here of, I believe, looking at those numbers, 9 points necessary to overtake Flower Power. EOS not a click away as well, especially with 2 games to go. And then we do begin to see the rest of our gap form as we look at our leaderboard.
That's where things get real tough. Veneer still waiting for that win to come through, but 11th through 20th is where it's at for me, especially when we consider that Mommies have just pushed themselves up to that 11th place squad with a 2nd place finish last game.
Whew. For Mommies, that's definitely something that feels fairly good. Obviously, we haven't discussed it, but teams are playing this for those qualification points that will carry towards the finals at the very, very end of the season here. And while you may be, down and out in 15th versus what is maybe 18th, still managing to press through and find those one-off good games is enough to take you from accumulating a score of, say, what? 3 to 7 points to upwards of double digits. I mean, it still has great impacts.
Yeah, I mean, and every point is important. We know, since we are going to be going through the entire season here, that throughout every week, you just want to be in the top 20 squads at the end of it. So as long as you can consistently put up points, and I want to say really landing yourself in top 10 to be really safe from week to week, you should make it to the finals. You should be eligible for some really nice prizing, and that's got to be the goal. Why have you removed the cover of your microphone? I don't feel safe.
I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to do that on a cast.
You terrify me. I don't think I could do that. I also don't think I can remove the cover of my
Yes, you can.
microphone. Can I? All right. Well, I'm gonna pretend that I can't, mainly because I don't want to participate. I'm just a delicate little baby, and, and I don't want to. I don't want metal in my mouth. What kind of animal are you?
Oh, you know the answer to that question.
That's true. That's true. Pulls out like 8 bottles of lemon juice at 3 in the morning and is ready to go.
You're not supposed to tell people about that.
Oh yeah. For seasoning. That's lemongrass
Seasoning, that's
chicken.
right.
Yeah. Have you had lemongrass chicken recently? I really missed lemongrass chicken.
Oh, that's right. You're what is it? Super vegan?
Strict vegetarian. That's what the word used to be in Spanish. Yes, I'm vegan.
Chaotic vegan.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh yes. I you know what? I haven't told this story publicly before, but I told it to you when we were at Champs. You remember when I came up to you at Champs and I was like, yeah, I'm staying with this really nice family. They're super sweet. And I went home and they made me dinner, and I told them that I was vegan. And they made me egg soup because they thought I was vegetarian, and I ate it. And you were like, you're not a real vegan. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? They're so sweet and kind. I'm spit in their face when they make me dinner.
There's nothing you can do at that point. You
Exactly.
swallow your pride and you give up all of your morals at the same time. Good boy. I apologize to chat, by the way.
Yeah. It's fine.
We're having fun.
Yeah. This is a good bit of fun. Team Nothing. We'll see if they can have a little bit this time, as this was a big contest last game. They did end up getting away with pretty nicely. Nice Valkyrie for them. However, this time around, things are a little calmer on the inside before the fight really breaks out. And I can only hope that they recognize how successful it was to take height last time in Down Beast.
Woo! Team Nothing here. Obviously, they've got themselves the potential of the contest against VSK, but neither came out on top in terms of that game one. And instead, it was too long of a fight for them to actually pick up the KP. Now, granted, Strawberry has already put herself up on top and has already started to take damage. So it looks like VSK might be the ones to push pedal to the metal here. As you can see, Yoli has also begun to find her way towards responding to provide coverage.
Yeah, grab lift will get you up to where you need
There
to
you
be.
go. There you go.
Team Nothing can now finally fight as a 3-woman squad. Strawberry, however, and Yoli go, great, good thing here. Let's leave left.
Oh, no!
Oh my god, that was so quick. Lightyear didn't get a chance to play the game.
I have to say, if you see your two squad mates running at you like that, maybe take notes, because that looked like fear incarnate. Now for Team Nothing to contest as, I was about to say duo, but I have to say as a solo here, Strawberry, the last remaining member, will find her way out alive. But granted, we talk about the exposures ahead, whether it be a team maybe coming out of North Pad or Checkpoint, that could potentially find success. Thankfully for them, they are not the first squad to be eliminated, though. That belongs to Yor.
Unlucky for them. I'd like to see how this is happening to a lot
Love
of squads that
Nothing.
are dropping before even the initial fights finishes. There's got to be a lot more 50-50s going on. But with VSK having been the victors this time around, Downed Beast is theirs. You would think the third party can still be coming in. Its teams have been really hungry to pick up these kills, and oh my lord, a Trident off in the distance will escape the majority of damage that VSK could throw at it, but still a very unusual sight.
I mean, we can look in the distance there and see that a Trident is missing from its platform, so that is clearly Team Nothing on their last escapes away. Strawberry just trying to find some form of respite as we talk about the mill area. That's something that's usually landed on in full force. Meanwhile, for Blowhodge Gaming here, for this squad, looks like they face certain difficulties for Lagoon, Nature, and Horror, taking time to heal back up. Not quite sure where we got pressure incoming from.
Comes right here,
Right there.
taking them down, or actually being taken down themselves. A nice pop in from Wonder Nicky saves the squad and puts Comms 3 kills in the lead. That's, I think, a pretty nice squad wipe to have picked up, especially a rotational point that I think is a lot less likely to be third party.
Oh, the Lagoon area. I mean, we talk about early drops. I mean, the nearest major POI is going to be Launchpad down there towards the southeast, and it's very likely that Comms was that team. So this is completely in their control for now. Obviously, with the zone being in play too, I mean, you don't have to waste any kind of time making a next rotation. Just loot up, get yourself situated, take the spoils of your victory.
And Comms have certainly done that. Taking a moment to loot up, though, they've also got to consider where they'll be rotating to, because playing with something like a Watson, maybe not center zone, but something adjacent to it will be really nice for them. An edge team, this doesn't really look like, and so Comms will be evaluating their next steps, ones that'll likely take them a little bit further up towards the center of the map, but we haven't gotten a chance to see where the next zone may be pulling us. If they've got that data, which I don't believe they do, they can always move themselves towards the beacon that is just off to their north.
Literally just to the north.
It's right there. They're not coming for it.
I would hope they have it.
They probably have it. I don't know if they have it, but they probably do.
2 recon legends.
Yeah, exactly. One of them has to have looked at that and gone, I'll take it. VSK still over by Downed Beast. That's
Wow.
surprising.
Someone
And
else is here.
still taking a fight, and from the low ground of all things. I like the way that Kathleen dropped there.
Good dodge.
Yeah, saves a good bit of damage, and we finally get a look at that next ring. Okay, not bad. That ridge really in the center of Zone 2 really going to be powerful. Outside of that, I think you can get here whenever you want.
Yeah, this ring maybe not the best place to put yourself particularly early. We look down towards the south side of Zone 2 where you see that beacon with those buildings. That's where you get a lot of squads that like to host themselves, and it can pay at least an advantage to those who want to last into the top 10. But obviously the ridgeline and those who kind of explore in its last moments usually are the ones to walk away with victory. But that, granted, is miles away. We take a look at things like this high ground exposure held in control by EOS. They've got the weaponry to boot, but they are contested. Squads moving up in what looks to be, yes, a rolling thunder to push them back.
This is going to be really helpful for EOS. Very difficult to push into this, and they can continue moving forward, clearing out the competition
Oh,
and claiming
no.
height
That's
all
the first one.
to themselves. I'd be hesitant to even drop here, but Odd evidently does not subscribe to the same train of thought. Exodia claims yet another kill, and EOS are not only claiming height, they're saying don't you dare contest us again. Final couple kills.
EOS kind of mad, but that's okay. They don't get the full wipe there. As you can see in the distance, we see a quick escape for themselves. They will put their way back towards the top of these rocks. Meanwhile, it looks like on the interior of this building, we are seeing UTFT apply some pressure. Surprising rotation there from UTFT. The last time we had checked in with them, they were north of Jurassic Park's kind of exit there. So they made quite a large movement in a short amount of time, albeit not even using a redeploy.
Got
Heading
a
this way.
nice spot, or at least they did. I'm very surprised that they ended up giving up the height to opt into the building. No, you're not surprised?
I don't mind them playing down here. I do genuinely believe that height is like the god spot of the zone like that, but it's way too early, especially when you look at the type of comp that UTFT have. No Watson, no kind of defense to work with. Yes, you've got some angles to potentially work with, but I'll tell you right now, one bad beam and a knock to follow, and it's like a catalyst, right? Like knocking over a stack of dominoes. Teams will follow suit, and you will be eliminated. So playing a little bit more edge-oriented, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I can see that. There's an argument to be made for both, and
Well,
it's
you know
really,
you're wrong, so
I understand. And you know what?
fight me.
Thank you, Zephyr. I appreciate you putting me in my place. Comms, for their part, are going to be trying to do the same to other squads. Eating an Arc Star at the moment, not going to be too big of a deterrent. They do have a powerful position up here in these buildings, and the other squad ahead of them will have to move. It's not a great spot to be in, not only because of the ring, but because there are other teams that can come up behind you, where comms don't really suffer from the same issue. Over here by the grav cannon, things are toit. And comms get to pressure you over towards
Like that
Jurassic
word.
before they make their own move up the river or down the river. Which way does this river flow? Hold on. It comes from the height, and then it goes down the river. Down the river.
This is down the river. The waterfall, as it's aptly named, is just over there towards the east. It's quite literally, it's actually the name of it. Yeah, I memorize sub names on these maps.
I noticed when you said lagoon. I've always called it swamps whenever I cast it. You said lagoon. I think it was 2 days ago. No, it was it was yesterday. You said lagoon, and I was like, I have to use the right name now.
I every once in a while will go on these maps and I'll just look at the name callouts as I walk through them and just kind of like go, oh, okay, this one's called Sarah's Bridge, River Center. By the way, that's I don't know the exact names, but the four corners on Barometer all have an actual name associated with them.
For real?
Yeah.
That's wild. Things that I probably shouldn't admit to not knowing, but that I absolutely did.
No,
not know.
you totally can. The minor names, they're like nowhere. You actually have to go into the game and notice when that little blip of a notification pops up in the top left that says, "Hey, this is what this is now." So, can't blame you there.
All right. Well, I'll give it my next go, or at the very least, next time we're sprinting around EFing ranked games, I'll ask you where we died last. That'll be the strat. Control freaks are taking a bit of a different approach, finding some kills themselves. Damn! Down the Prowlers will give them a nice bit of loot on their way out. Jurassic Park not going to be in the zone. However, because they've still got a replicator even right next door, good amount of height between them and any approaching teams, they'll be just fine.
Dang, making short work of those Prowlers, you might as well call him Mike Vick.
Who is that joke for?
Let's check this quadrant.
I know it's not for me.
Someone. Oh yeah, go ahead. Google it while we watch JSA get the full wipe on BSK. A quick revive there. Sabs is back in the game. We'll get reset off of some of these death boxes here as they continue their slow walk down from checkpoint. And the heals will come through. Obviously, I'm a little bit more questionable regarding their rotation. I talk about teams playing Edge. UTFT earlier. Obviously, being that far back in the choke is a little bit more difficult to play out of, but given their prowess and how they fight things out, they can easily find success.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm looking at these. I'm putting Trident position as the biggest point to cover. Veneer, unfortunately, aren't going to even make it to see that, as Rachel has fallen, and we know pushing up these buildings for Inset Fan is not going to be something that goes unpunished, especially with squads still on the ridge and even the buildings ahead of them now spotted. What? Whoa. Getting aggressive is not something that I would have done. We'll see if Nice Girls end up punishing this. As already they are looking to do so. Pretty Bond Girl should have the scan out there on just the singular member, and they're actually going in opposite directions as Crestep scouts out the other side, and a full team of 3 is in retreat after shots from that G7.
I don't think it's in. They're making their way towards where they want to play in zone, but granted, it does go to show the kind of lack of information that they take advantage of there, or I guess don't take advantage of. In that situation, it kind of should have been more than secure that you see that it's just a single member. But obviously, we do see there are other squads towards the south side. Granted, putting yourself out there, even if it is for a one-off rat, yeah, I mean, we look at it as just no-brainer, go for it, but who knows? Could have been a little bit more dicey than we.
Yeah, Lust aren't going to be joining us then. They will not be approaching from the south side. They will not be doing anything as they've been taken out this game. 13 teams left, and we are starting to close in. What are you saying to me?
I said Ripperino, Pepperino.
Ripperino.
It's technically ripperoni, pepperoni, but yeah.
Pepperoni. Oh, yeah, I think they both work. I think by you innovating, you've just expanded the artistic reach of those words.
This is Dia's way of saying what you just said was really stupid, but I have to acknowledge it properly on cast.
That's absolutely not what I'm saying. Don't worry about it. JSA, I have to acknowledge them as they've actually been performing really darn well this game, despite having lost one earlier. They managed to get that pickup off the clean squad wipe, and now are pushing forward pretty darn aggressively.
This is perfect.
Damage Sabs has already taken. They don't seem to give a darn, knowing they've got you out-angled. Jamie's actually opening themselves up to shots from above. Should be plenty safe. Sabs not the same as she's gone down, and Ava's getting run up on as well. JSO overextended. Yes, they have. The Nice Girls take him out in conjunction with every other squad in the lobby firing down upon this. And now, Nice Girls down as they get concerned on. Volvana is down. Pretty Bond Girl joining her as well. And Crestep, the last left alive, gets a good amount of damage to the flatline and the PK before finally falling.
I feel bad there for Nice Girl, or I mean for JSA. You could see that they were providing beams and angles, but they actually invested, I believe, so much damage into, I think it was an exhibit that just magically managed to block so much of the damage that was provided there. And then obviously, when the quick turnaround came, they were already as low as could be. For UTFT though, they at least got the comeuppance for JSA. They clean up Nice Girls and continue to put themselves in a place of, well, maybe not advantage in terms of zone, but definitely something that is garnering them lots of KP. Oh wow, Zodia.
I was gonna say I can't really say the same for EOS. Interestingly enough, despite the fact that I really like their position, KP probably isn't their strength this game, and it's going to have to start rolling in. We know they got some kills on the squad earlier. I don't think they got the full squad wipe. Just the 2 isn't going to be anywhere near the kinds of performances that have been winning these games. EOS still have got work to do. UTFT landing real close by. This might be the time to do it. Liz already 50 HP. Never mind. Dropped to EOS, who were right up on that height. Gets finished off just as quickly. UTFT are missing 1, and EOS wasted no time going for that.
Still, though, when we talk about position
Whoa!
and zone, well,
Nice
it's
stick!
a stick to get something going here, but UTFT will face difficulties on their loan. It's actually surprising it's not EOS, that's Calm.
Yo, drop down with that Valk ult. They do eat the smoke from EOS right above them, which cannot feel good. A little bit oppressive, definitely clouding a lot of their informational gathering they could otherwise make use of when they start thinking about how to approach this next ring. Despite the fact that they've landed here, despite the fact that they're safe for now, they still got to move. 1 minute left on that, and EOS above them have got to be prioritizing the squad directly below as the first KP to be claimed should they want to continue.
I don't know.
What?
Flower Power's got this building over here, but they gotta move.
It's true, they do. And up the hill, too. I really don't envy them.
No, it's
Moving
hard. It's
uphill
hard.
with EOS in that spot is
Moving
actually
uphill with EOS watching this house this entire time, especially
Yeah.
with you, big beefy grab lift. Yeah, you might pick up these.
Oh!
Ooh.
Just in time? Was it just in time?
Time.
Yeah, they're not gonna fall. That would have been a really sick knock. It still could be. I'm holding out hope. EOS instead are gonna be the ones closest to that, so I'm still watching the kill feed to see what actually ends up happening to this squad that has absorbed a entire caustic ult. So credit to them. Flower Power get the opportunity to walk up because of this. Do get scanned. I think we're still going to be okay, though, down here. You've got the loot hills to play that'll provide some cover from above. Comms are going to have to move, and they'll be absorbing a lot of pressure. I don't know if they have Valk ult, but I don't think they should just yet. And they're going to be the real focus of EOS. Actually
Wow.
scanning yet another squad right next
That
door.
is a deep squad. That team obviously has to climb themselves here, and I don't know what comms may do. EOS, their drop is something to wonder about as well. When we talk about this next zone, obviously the big point to play is something, say, Pills, right? Where we saw just seconds ago. For comms, they opt for length rotation. One that almost, yeah, I was about to say that's going to pay the price. They burn themselves out in the zone and in turn are quickly eliminated. EOS on their drop ahead will face difficulties as well from behind. The team that was on that low ground scanned earlier from comms take advantage with their own damage. Mizzix Zodia are still well in it here with Flower Power in tow to eliminate Arc as well. Now a standard 3v3 here in our final moments of the game. A very, deja vu moment.
And for a game that was almost entirely EOS as well, all them all the time, they had height, they had so much autonomy. The fact that Flower Power have yoinkied this and put themselves in second place, if not first, is really impressive. There goes the Singularity hitting absolutely no one.
Oh,
and
and
Faye
Faye.
burns down. That's the trigger pull. Forward go the gas canisters. Out comes the grab lift. And Flower Power with their WPs take down are going to end up taking the fifth game of the day. Last couple shots landing, a kick to the face does it, and Flower Power flex their muscles for the third time in 5 games.
My gosh, Flower Power here with a dominant performance. I would have loved to see their rotation out from the northern angle, but they come in at the last moment, at least with some of the kills that they'd already garnered themselves, and quickly finish the job there. It's a victory, one that we continue to see tonight. Maybe not the highest of scoring games, but one that will continually put them ahead of the pack here. I'm very happy to see Flower Power potentially on their way to their first game day win.
I mean, it's really impressive. I'm loving the way that Flower Power is playing right now, and they are still innovators in this game, in the meta as they're using it right now, choosing to use the caustic over anything else. They've
Jeez,
still
yeah.
taken down squads that want to play more aggressively, like EOS running the Bang Bloodhound, and like the standard compositions that are everywhere right now with Seer Valk Horizon.
Well, for them, they will find their way towards the top. Obviously, many other teams don't share the same fate, though. The big misnomer here, once again, JSA eliminated in 12th, but some others as well. Veneer, even though they had some success recently, once again, can't keep up.
Lus as well from last week with their own prowess down in 13th here in match 5.
Short work by Michael Vick. Born June 26th, he's a 6 foot, 210-pound quarterback. I'm not sure what that means, but I know it's a football thing. He actually was drafted in 2001, round 1, pick 1, went to Virginia Tech. He was named to 3 Pro Bowls, but his career came to a halt in 2007 after he pleaded guilty for his involvement in a dog fighting ring and spent 21 months in federal prison. Zephyr, why would you? What does this mean? We're gonna take a break, guys. We'll be right back.
I'll tell you what, I love My Hero Academia, but you know what I love more?
Celestial Cup. Celestial Cup is what we love more. Week 2, Split 2 is going to come to an end right now. And by right now, I mean approximately 25 minutes when Game 6 of the day will be wrapping up. We are here before it starts. And before it starts, we've got to take a look at the leaderboards to see where these teams are lining up for the start of the day. Zephyr and I are barely holding it together. So please, just bear with us. Flower Power, 84 points. Their lead, a 24-point gap. That's some quick math. Call me Jamerson. Above JSA. And EOS right behind them with 57 points. This is still top heavy, as Zephyr identified at the start of the day.
Control Freaks are in 4th. with gaps to spare here. Comms, Lus, UTFT, still though all one game away from maybe potentially contesting the top 3, but I don't know. In terms of what lays ahead here, all signs are pointing towards a Flower Power week here in Split 2.
And week 2 as well, a week of a split that people had expected to be JSA has first gone the way of EOS, and now with EOS in the top 3, they could be alley-ooped as well. The only thing left for JSA is to take a dominant victory, shutting down Flower Power early on, and that's been so difficult to make happen with the way that Flower Power are playing, being sure that they're not the center of attention so often and instead going for those third parties. For those of you who are unaware, which should be everyone, because you can't see our cameras, Zephyr's drifted so far down into his chair during this intro that his head is on the seat. He's not even on camera anymore. It is something to behold.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, all the points still count here in the Celestial Cup. These will contribute to your final standings, and then, of course, those invitations at the end of the season, that's where the big prize pool is to behold.
A big thank you to our producer Etsky, by the way. I'm really appreciating you today. Your sense of humor is on point. The vibes have been immaculate so far, and with the early 50-50 contests, our action has been through the roof as well. Celestial Cup is really sorting out to be a really fast-paced league, and with these squads being able to make market improvement from week to week, it's only going to get more exciting. I've really enjoyed watching the way that Flower Power played today, and I look forward to seeing it for a 6th game. Because only 2 teams have won today, there's really nothing that would upset me in the last game. If Flower Power win again, great. If JSA win again, awesome. If somebody else wins, thank God somebody else won. So really, and anything's good. Game 6, let's get it. It's the last game of the day, the last chance for these teams to put themselves at the top.
Like I said, though, earlier, I am definitely very excited to see that Flower Power has finally gotten a week ahead of themselves here. They've had very, very successful games up against teams like EOS and JSA, who have made a staple or a name for themselves here in the Celestial Cup. But with that being said, Flower Power just happens to be that kind of third misnomer, the uncrowned queen that hopefully will walk away with history to be made here.
Taking a look at the 50-50s that are happening, we've been so focused on those at Down and Beast that we've honestly missed the first drops on a lot of squads, which is really surprising when we consider that the only other real evident 50-50 is that one happening over by Barometer.
Yes. We may get hint at that, but it looks like over here at Mill, we also have some offer to the first to potentially fall, and I guess the rest of yours well down in 20. No, it looks like there were multiple.
All right, well, that's a real quick cleanup. Lust have actually, given how fast we've seen Yor dropping on Stormpoint, got themselves a clean 9 points over the course of 3 games. That has been a really big blessing for them, moving them up further in the standings, making sure it's very comfortable as we move further on. Loch Nessies over in Barometer, a part of the other 50-50 that I'd mentioned I was interested in. Shout out again to our producer. I've got height, but not too much else, especially in the way of loot. Disagree and cough of disagreement.
Yeah, cough of disagreement, no. But it looks like for them, obviously trying to get a handle on exactly where they might line something up. The zone doesn't carry too far away, but they have the dominance in terms of that beacon. I haven't really seen any fighting really, truly take place between them and LNW, so it's likely that they just hold that one out. We're back once again towards the down beast, though, where Team Nothing and VSK have addressed each other multiple times. Last time around, Strawberry and Yuli took early position on the upper angles of the beast itself and were quickly faced with damage, and when Light Years came to respond, well, she saw what could happen.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate move up to the high ground, one that did not bode well for them, but that may end up working out this time. I'm glad that Team Nothing are at least staying together for the moment, and I may have spoken too soon, so hold your horses. They are, unfortunately, inside of Downed Beast instead of on top, though, because the first game that did actually allow them to escape, they had prioritized that height and then been able to use it for a Valkyl. Now they really do have to fight their way out.
Extended light mag
For
here.
Flower Power
Level 2.
here, they themselves spying on, yes, oh, there they were. The team ahead, just on the outskirts of building towards North Side Command Center. Seems like they addressed that information and, oh, no, just begin to set up some parallel defenses on the opposite side, the entrance towards this current position. You can see
We should
Princess and
conduct a
Miss
search
Dopey
right here.
already trying to take some superior angles to maybe initiate this fight as well here. It's another squad that we never have really gotten to see in their early game on Stormpoint.
Yeah, quite pleased with the way that Flower Power are navigating this as they exit that command center. They make sure to clear everything and then move forward. It's the safety that we'd expect with such a squad, and honestly a really good rotation for a team that wants to avoid being targeted. It's difficult to push into command center, so if that rotation out goes poorly for you in any way, you're probably not going to have the zone pulling to you. And so you can wait for the other squad to have to rotate a different way, especially when you're playing Caustic. It's a smart move and one that plays to their compositional strengths. For now, Team Nothing still stuck underneath, haven't been able to make use of any of their strengths. Even that gravity lift that would otherwise allow them to start a fight real quickly. Yoli's getting a bit antsy and actually leaving Downed Beast for a moment to see if Team Nothing can finally catch a break.
I will say here, 4 teams inside the Down Beast, their situation might be a little bit more tough, as we can see. Yes, Renee, Peef, Scarlet, they are once again slowly making their way in. It was, I believe, in the 4th game that we saw them come through with their official third party that did, in fact, punish, I believe, VSK for their kind of later rotation away from this POI. It seems like for Team Nothing in the 2, far too much investment, right? I mean, obviously haven't been really providing shots, but not really making the moves, especially because the zone doesn't really push itself that far away. I mean, they don't have a reason to make major moves, but what they don't know is dramatic irony, but there's so many squads that could potentially come in.
Yeah, really throw a wrench in their plans as well. WKL starting to pick a fight up on height by Thunderwatch. Stormfish is really breaking out. WKL can't actually find anyone just yet. Good angle by Libra Eyes to get flash and inside of zones. PBG going down is really tough. Horizon ult doesn't end up following up with any damage. And WKL gets keep pushing forward onto the likely a res that might have gone off. Woomy's out. Res hasn't happened yet, but a 2v2. WKL really pushing the definition of what it's going to mean to be okay in this fight. Now losing a second as Libra Eyes pops up to the roof to heal.
And you can see there from the opposite angle, Libra Eyes taking some form of damage from that charged rifle. Granted, continuing to stick out on the help for Nice Grove. Not much better for them. PBG and Milvana already facing a complete wipe there from the damage of the zone. The step potentially on her way up, but oh, the res is through and the bub is up. Yes, Woomy will fall once more, but this 1v1 likely not to be in her favor. WKL find their success.
Nice plays from WKL as well to take out Nice Girls, who have had a really good day, all things considered. Though they haven't actually managed to win a game just yet, I've had my eye on them since game 1, where they positioned really well with the long-range damage. And Nice Girls have actually had a decent day. I think they could be a powerful squad by the end of the season. That's a long ways away yet. Something we'll have to wait to see until next week even. LNW is starting to make their way out of Jurassic Park and into Antenna, having already found a knock. This could be a powerful game for them. Horizon ult not going to be utilized just yet, as they think everyone might be gone. They're not wrong, because they're kind of making their own truth here.
Well, they are officially eliminated, but you can see some pings starting to ring out here. Obviously, a squad potentially making their way across the antenna area. Some angles maybe to be taken. We'll have to tune in a bit later. Instead, we're with Flower Power, our first place team currently in this lobby. A Singularity out here to provide some source of pull, but it doesn't look like this team is really able to find the angles they want here on Flower Power, and thus this squad at least gets some recovery in action. Big micro drones detected will highlight them for now, but still no major movement as UTFT falls in 16.
This is the power, ironically, of Flower Power. Since they've got
should've
this
just said
caustic
flower.
pushing a building, it's my bad. Since they've got the caustic in this building, they end up being able to hold out for a lot longer than other squads who are playing real respectfully. Mommies have gone out, placement points are starting to be
Wow.
accumulated. And if
R2.
JSA want a shot at this game, Flower Power is going to have to die.
Yeah, at this point here, it's a little bit too far and a ways ahead for LW. They continue to find another squad here in what is their defense outside of Jurassic Park. Apparently a fruitful position to be in, but something that I have to give credit towards. One, they have been able to defend. Usually when you see these many squads in one area, a very successful 3v3 in succession doesn't usually take place. Usually is a third party that garners what we see on our broadcast. Instead, it's LNW on top.
Flower Power decided they want to take the height as well after Uno reverse carding the squad that was looking to gatekeep them. We've got a roof which is soon to be out of zone. We're closing in relatively quickly. And so Dopey has gotten them disengaged. They're going to start dropped right back down, losing one. Gigglebottom still up, but Dopey with a massive flank right now can still clutch things up, and they will! Big shout out to Dopey, as they are the biggest difference in keeping Flower Power in the game. Here comes, things are getting difficult, and Dopey's going to be taken out on the way from the building. Flower Power are gone in 11th place with only 3 points. Make it 5, and JSA have the opportunity to overcome.
Still, though, for JSA, this needs to be a monumental game. There aren't many squads left in this lobby, and if they want to finish off with a first-place victory, they do need to start wiping out towards the edge. Obviously, playing for the victory is inevitable, so you might as well take everyone down in the meantime. For WKL, obviously, they themselves in a very similar situation to what we saw out of Flower Power moments ago, albeit a little bit more orange.
Just a touch. WKL being able to get that blue goodness over by Cascade, though. They will still have access to height as long as a team like Nice Girls, I say like Nice Girls, isn't here. So, unfortunately for them, probably not going to be here. That's just what I'm going to say. WKL do manage to grab this all-abundant height over by Cascade.
There is no one there. No one is playing the height of Cascade. Okay. Why?
True and surprising, right? Like,
yeah, like that is such a good angle for Central Map. There is because no one there. Meanwhile, speaking of somewhere to be, JSA making moves ahead here. Smoke will wager what looks to be EOS on their escape. JSA are a bit split. You've got some below, some on top here. As LNW from the other side have found a knock onto Odd. Missing Zodia and Standard Shine now potentially at their last moment. JSA will capitalize in the third party situation.
Ava's scout shots are just beautiful. They don't miss. And now being able to move up here. Janie getting dropped is really the only thing they've got to worry about. With cover of the rocks, JSA can still recover, and they're going to stick this one, allowing Ava to continue covering, getting shots from the side. It's going to be an escape angle right down onto the low ground where LNW just went down. But it's the best play for JSA right now, looking at height, seeing where they can escape to, what squad they can poke holes in. EOS are out, they're in the top 8. The JSA simply have to survive. That is their objective right now.
You have to wonder, it might be a time just to redeploy here for Janie and crew. They actually make their way back into zone. It is more than a comfortable situation, especially with it only being the third. It will take a little bit extra, but it's much less than what we see in terms of the damage of these squads. Immediately a redeploy given that current pinch, because you know the JSA girls need to pick up the victory here if they want to extend themselves into first place overall. Straight already down into Cascade. We'll have to see if they turn and pressure.
Making the best decisions in this last game. Can JSA reclaim their title at the top? Or will they be put down by yet another squad? Flower Power watching anxiously from the sidelines to see what happens here. 8 teams left, and JSA have already secured themselves at least the 2 points that they got off of that squad. LNW in front of them. Been keeping up with the rotations. They'll be able to hold a choke and maybe find themselves some more kills. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go through that choke and maybe play a bit more edge.
We tune in with Veneer a little bit more directly in the zone ahead, where things are albeit quieter. It looks like, yes, we do see some drops just across from them, but right now most squads haven't presented themselves towards our hot dog buildings. As we tune back in with JSA, we pick up the last, or one of the last remaining members of the OS. Scarlet's Envy, or no, my apologies, it was Lust. Lust there, picked apart in partial existence. We'll see what JSA can do. It seems like they're also being pressured from behind.
It's tough to go from being pinched to being pinched, but if anybody can do it, JSA has got to be able to work that miracle. Any covering an angle gives Ava the opportunity to hit a quick bat and a scan.
Nice!
As well, actually turning things in their favor. A really nice move from the duo before Sabs is able to join them. Putting themselves up to red. We've got a full 3-man pushing this. Great Thermite to cut the team in half. JSA really playing this one to the 9 as they push forward now with the PK. Ava destroying squad mate after squad mate.
Wow.
As they go down.
For JSA, they want to keep the dream alive. They make short work of 2 squads. They turn what was a previous pinch into a successful double wipe here. Now they get to take all the spoils between 6 different death boxes. I'm surprised that no one made their way out from the north to potentially capitalize on some of the shots here. We've got 5 squads left remaining. It looks to be 4 full 3 with 1 remaining rat.
Already 6 points for them. JSA could absolutely take this. With that singular rat, it means placement points for them, but they're focused on the win. JSA have got this in their sights, and we've got that big update for us. These were the points at the very start of the game.
Oh my
JSA
gosh.
needing to get themselves a 25-point game. That means at least, what is it,
No,
they
they need-
6 kills?
Yeah, I was about to say, they let's talk about more than that. It has to be 25 to surpass. All you have to do is the math on the other side of the angle here when we talk about Flower Power. How many points did they pick up? Because that's how many that JSA need to assume on top of 25. What was it?
Did they get
3?
kills?
3 KP on the initial
It might
fight?
have been 3.
We'll
I think
assume-
they might have had a 0-point game. No, 3 points.
No,
3 points.
no,
3
no,
points.
no,
You
3
said,
points,
yeah,
3
yeah,
points,
3
3
points
points.
because they wiped the squad. Then they went out in like.
So a 28 kill game, or 28 point game potentially necessary here. I mean, we're talking about 16 kills. I mean, if you look at the rest of this lobby, I mean, you pretty much have to wipe them in full, and it looks like it might not be happening for Veneer. They immediately find a great success on this drop, and
Okay.
looks like the dreams are dead and over.
JSA is crumbled, but mine are still here for Veneer. I am absolutely ready for them. Remember, we got the birthday girl in this squad, and Veneer are looking pretty good right now. They don't have a building, but having just taken out the favorites in this lobby, they've got a good claim to being able to take the rest of
I
these
don't know.
fights. 4 squads left, and they're not the focus of anyone because, honestly, Zephyr, their spot
Let's
really
explore this
isn't that enviable.
No, it's completely out of zone here, and they need to set themselves up just a bit ahead. To confirm, though, it looks like there are only one opposing, at least 3 lady squad left in this lobby. For Team Nothing,
they're actually as a duo. You can see them ahead as well as one more other entity.
They've got their work cut out for them. Switching up the loadouts at the last minute. Incept's got to meet up with the rest of the squad, who are making a real interesting rotation to play the rocks on the outside. Good use of the Into the Void to make sure they take no damage on the way over. I'm waiting for the fighting to break out, as this will be our last zone before the close, and Veneer will not have a whole lot of opportunities should they take even a few nades, and especially a
grenade here.
Horizon ult out here in the open. So many squads not focused on this, though, does bring me some hope.
Looks like you've got TLM stuck as a duo inside that building that you can see Insepultus and crew start to work their way forward. A big portal to extend. Looks like they might be scanned out. A very, very quick exhibit is laid down to display them in their full... It's gone.
That tells you they're nervous, though. You Wraith portal on up to a building and instantly hear the sound of an exhibit going down. Then you're able to take it out. You know they're weak. The question is just whether you've got the confidence to push this forward. There's another fight breaking out on the opposite side of the map. The mobile respawn coming in. There's a potential bait out here for Incept and the squad.
UKL, they've got I was going to say they've got good angles on the upper angle of upper end of that roof, and that's actually pushed. My apologies here. It's pushed TLM back into the interior of this building, and they're no longer peaking kind of with that same exposure that we saw moments ago here. So it's actually kind of delaying what might have been a wipe from Veneer.
UKL on the opposite end managed to take the roof for just a little while. For right now, are still searching for kills
Give it
on
up.
Team Nothing, who have managed to make it here from their contest at Downed Beast. Fight breaks out on the other side, though, and things are looking good for Veneer. They find that first knock onto the duo. Incept taking a moment to breathe. Nice Wraith Q gets them out of dodge. TLM are down, and it's a real quick, clean wipe as everybody backs off the defense line they already set up for themselves, dodging the chance of a third party, and now setting up to look down on the squads on the opposite end. Team Nothing really having to balance this one out. It's still a two-man. Not going to be making them feel too confident. WKL, the other members inside this building, playing right on the bottom floor right now. Who will be the focus of Veneer? Who will fall first? Right now, another mobile respawn's going down. They've got way too many of these stuff.
Covers cover in the end game, and I'm lucky to say that they found him where they count for Veneer. They have the pull, though. That is the most important thing here. For Team Nothing, you can see them already extending themselves out to where we will likely see WKL exit this building. Something that we both know, when you have two squads on top of each other, the first squad's divided likely the ones right next. You can see WKL on their exit out. A big dome going to give their position away, and I bet you Team Nothing, their eyes are trained, especially with seconds to go on their own position.
This is not safe enough, though. That bubble has really doomed
Yup,
WKL.
yup.
They get beamed in the crossfire. They are out, and now it's time for the birthday W. Veneer have already found the first member, and time for the second and the final. This is the last game of the day, and Veneer get themselves that celebratory win.
It might not be the performance of a lifetime here, but it's something that at least can award Insepultus on her 40th birthday a victory to walk away with.
Woo! Happy birthday!
Happy 40th, Insepultus.
This makes me smile so much. You couldn't have written today better. in
Wow.
terms of the
What a
development.
actually what a good
27-point
game.
game, bruh.
That's fantastic. Actually, now we have to kind of look at where Veneer were in the standings, because for teams like EOS, 4 points was not a lot, and it might have been not enough to net them consistency in the top three.
I think that's the best game of the day, though, in terms of points. I think that's the
Really?
most points that
Yeah,
anyone's
I think so
accumulated in
too.
a single game. A lot of them were at 25, and
Birthday buff.
JSA Yeah, birthday buff. JSA right behind them, 13 points, despite the fact that they went out in fifth. I mean, they got
Wow.
almost no placements. I think they might have even gone out earlier, honestly. And I mean, they looked like they were getting going. I respected the hustle from JSA, but they're not going to reclaim their crown today. Not like this.
So
Despite the fact
close.
that they won 1/3 of our games today, it's not going to be enough.
That the especially on their losses is where we see JSA struggle. They didn't kind
Mhm.
of marginally make it through to ninth and up. It was very early knocks that presented them with difficulties that kind of put them where we see them at second. We look at the round of the rest here. Flower Power obviously in the lead for the majority, only netting themselves 5 points after their performance in game 6, but will likely still hold on to a first place finish in our overall standings.
Yeah, I mean, a really solid performance from them on the day, and the fact is that this game is a big outlier for Flower Power when normally they were one of the more consistent squads. I shouted out a few others as well. Nice Girls also falling relatively early, but still impressing me in the day. UTFT also having nice performances overall, though it's not something that's put them at the top of the board just yet. Everybody's got to keep in mind that this is just week 2, and with the relatively recent, I'm going to hesitate to call it this, but I'm going to use it anyway, relatively recent dethroning of JSA as our always winning ever present squad. We've still got plenty of time for other squads to come up
Yes.
and make their own names.
It's the time of learning here in the Celestial Cup, and with the crowned queens losing their status now for the second time in the row, albeit staying competitive, is
Oh
the
yeah.
perfect opportunity for anyone else to push themselves to the same level or further here. And we've seen improvement from teams like Lust, Nice Girls, UTFT, and many others in just the last 2 weeks alone, and potentially the rest as well as we talk about Celestial Cup in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if this was your first week catching it, this is not a one-off thing. We have got this
No.
coming up every Tuesday, so you can be sure to tune in then. And I still want to see those final leader before we go, just to make it official. So as soon as we've got them, oh, thank you, Etsky. Flower Power, an 89-point victory on the
Woo!
day,
Damn.
a more than respectable amount of points.
Damn. A very nice, solid finish for Flower Power there with the highest kills to boot as well, making up literally half of their total score. JSA, though, not far behind, albeit 16 below our Flower Power winners.
Yeah, really good performances from Flower Power, JSA, EOS, and Veneer. Even Comms coming in at 42 points. The
Surprising.
fact is that for a top heavy game, from second all the way down, around 10 points in separating you isn't really that bad. And everybody's managed
No.
to make this a really smooth cascade down into the subsequently bottom 10 teams.
Loch Nessies, Guess Who, The Mommies, Team Nothing, LNW, WKL, TLM, VSK, Your, and Blowhaj Gaming.
Yeah, this was a ultimately relatively nicely spaced day that gave a lot of teams the opportunity to shine. We can't forget that Mommies actually almost stole themselves a win in game 4
Yeah.
of the day, our debut on Stormpoint. That we were constantly looking at Team Nothing on these contests, and LNW really had the opportunity to frag out quite a bit, and I believe it was game 6. It could have been game 5. It was definitely game 5. LNW was caught on the low ground in game 6. Things are still being constructed, and in only our second week, I'm going to remind you guys, tune back in the coming one. Every Tuesday, we will return. Zephyr, I don't think you're back next Tuesday. I think it's me. Yeah, it's me.
No, I'm esports arenaing.
Esports Arenaing, very cool. Have an excellent time. I will be back with Tiff, it seems, to bring you the following week.
Oh,
And I
that's the first.
can
Wait, guys! That is the first time we're getting Tiff on the Celestial Cup broadcast. Am I right?
It it is. It's also, I think, the first time I'm casting with Tiff.
Hey,
As
for all
host.
of you guys at home, she is a fantastic caster. currently covering the Warzone, like the official Warzone broadcasts for Call of Duty and stuff. I trust me, it'll be a treat because this guy kicks ass and she kicks even more ass. You got to tune in. This is me self promoting Celestial Cup.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do. Is keeps. Zephyr's making a good point. Tune in. A big thank you to all of you for doing it today. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you to our producer and all the team that makes these events possible. Shout out Usaki's because they're amazing.
Usaki's
And-
awesome.
Woo! All right, we'll see you next week for Celestial Cup. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.